Good evening. Notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct the prayer and flag salute.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. In the event of emergency, the proper method for exiting the council chamber is through the three doors in the rear of the room. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front door, and move away from the area of the front steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, to please sign in the white sheets provided at the front of the room. Turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a call, please leave the chambers to do so. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Colbus.
Here.
Byer.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Armstead.
Here.
Cosby Hurling.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Minichinko.
Here.
Yamakaitis.
Here.
Medina.
Here.
Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here. I'd like to move into approval of the minutes for our special meeting of March 25th, 2014, and March 35th, 2014, and a regular council meeting of March 18th, 2014. Motion, please.
What? Oh, that's me? I can speak, I'm sorry.
Council President, make a motion for the approval of minutes for March 18th, 2012, and special meeting of 25th of March 2014 and March 21st, 2014, and ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Byer.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes to all with the exception of the special meeting on the 21st.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Minichinko.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes, but abstain
Mr.
on the 18th.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. This is the date and time and place for a public hearing on ordinance on hearing. We'll move into 5911.
5811, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Department Established, Section 2-13, Department of Fire, as follows. Amend 2-13.5B, third-party payment plan for emergency medical services, as follows. Delete 2-13.5BE2 in its entirety. Add new 2-13.5BE2 as follows.
Thank you. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the chambers wish to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move that the hearing be closed and ordinance number 58-11 be accepted, and I request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Byer.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Minichinko.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5812.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Organization of the Government, Section 2-7.2, Committees of the City Council shall be amended as follows. 2-7.2A, Standing Committees. There shall be the following standing committees of council. Add number 14, Technology and Communications Committee.
Thank you. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anyone in the chambers wish to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President. I ask for the adoption of Ordinance 58-12 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Byer.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Minichinko.
Yes.
Yamikaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kozinski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5813.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-7, Parking shall be amended as follows. Add Section -7-7.3C, unoccupied vehicle parked or standing and not moved 48 hours after snow has ceased.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anyone in the chambers wish to be heard on an ordinance? Please come up, sir. Please come up to the podium. State your name. Push the red button.
Oh, yeah, Paul Shelby, 315 Second Avenue, Linden. 48 hours is a little bit too much. All the surrounding cities give them 24 hours. 48 hours, it's like a free ride, and the trucks can't get in there. Well, we got to wait 2 days, remove the snow. I think 48 hours is a little bit too much. Various cities around Linden give them 24 hours. 48 hours gives our city crew, has to wait an extra day. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in chamber, please come up, state your name.
Linda Katsonis. 48 hours is not enough time. There's a lot of elderly people. There's nowhere to put the car after we dig it out. If we live right on Wood Avenue, where do we put the car? We need more than 48 hours. That's about it.
Thank you. Anyone else in the chamber? Councilman Sadowski?
What she's talking about is you go to Wood Avenue, if there's snow time, you're snowed in. All the side streets have the 2-hour limitations and so on and so forth. It's very tough for the people who live on Wood Avenue, very tough. And like I said, I really don't know what the answer is, but I think we will be looking into it. I will bring it up to see what can be done. But it is tough for the people living on Wood Avenue. Now, they live right by the firehouse, which cuts off all sorts of parking, and I know it's tough. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Motion, please.
Mr. President, can I comment, please?
Mr. Armstead?
Yes, I would just hope in situations where people's cars have been left and they're unable to move them, that we let discretion be the better part of valor. I mean, we should try to reach out to those homeowners, people who own those cars, and see what their circumstances are before we go ahead and rush to judgment and have them towed away. I think that's the very least we could do for our residents, especially since they really have no control over snowstorms. And in many cases, if they're sick or elderly, they certainly don't have enough, they don't have control over getting their cars moved to a safe place. So I would hope we would consider that in our dealings with these people.
Thank you. Motion.
Move for approval, and I request a second. Move the hearing be closed, and the ordinance adopted, and request a second.
Second. Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
No, for the reasons I mentioned before. We should look
Midichenko?
into it a little more.
Yes. Yamikaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kozinski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5814, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 10, Building and Housing, Section 10-19, Abandoned Residential Property Registration.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anyone in the chamber wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 58-14, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead? Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Midichenko?
Yes.
Yamikaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kozinski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5816.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 17, Sewer and Water, Article 2, Water shall be amended as follows. Amend Section 17-14, Cross-Connection Control and Backflow Prevention.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the chamber who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move that the hearing be closed and ordinance 58-16 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5817, Mr. Clerk.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street. Add 621 East Curtis Street, 1 space. 1002 Chandler Avenue, 1 space. Delete 146 Cedar Avenue, 133 Irene Street, 1506 Winans Avenue.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and ordinance 5817 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Zadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5818, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-36, reserved as follows. Delete Section 7-36, reserved in its entirety. Add Section 7-36, Library Parking Lot.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anyone in chambers wish to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Council President, I ask the hearing be closed and the ordinance be adopted, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5819.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Establishing a Schedule to Title Salary Ranges and Regulations for Maintaining the Classification and Salary Standardization Plan of all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15, 1995, and approved August 16, 1996, Schedule 4-2-2.
Thank you. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anyone in the chambers wish to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President, I ask for this hearing to be closed and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5820, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 24, Land Develop, 29, rather, Land Development, Section 29-5.8, Schedule of Fees.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any communication?
No, sir.
Does anybody wish to comment on this ordinance in the chamber? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President, I ask that the hearing be closed and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5821.
Bond ordinance authorizing removal of underground storage tanks and remediation at 1901 Lower Road for the Public Property Department, appropriating $220,000 and authorizing the issuance of $209,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the chambers who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Motion, please.
Council President, I ask the hearing be closed and ordinance be adopted, and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. All right, we'll move into the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or the citizen so requests. In the event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda, of items 1 through 3.
I move for approval of items 1 through 3 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Moving to committee reports, I ask Mr. Colibus for his first.
Thank you, Council President. I have a few short reports. From the Licenses Inspector's Office, the City of Linden is providing free rabies vaccinations at the following locations. Monday, May 5th, 2014, at Firehouse Number 3 on East Elizabeth Ave and Chandler Avenue from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday, May 7th, 2014, Firehouse Number 2 on West St. George Avenue and DeWitt Terrace from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday, May 14th, 2014, at Firehouse Number 1 at Southwood Avenue and Munsell Avenue from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. 2014 dog licenses will be available at the rabies clinic on these dates. Exact cash or check will be accepted. All dogs 6 months and older are required to be licensed. Any questions, you may contact the City Clerk's License Division at 908-474-8406. Again, from the License Inspector's Office, the City Clerk's License Division is submitting this monthly report for the month of March 2014. This office issued 3 dog licenses and 132 miscellaneous licenses and collected a grand total of $9,475. A quick report from the Engineering Committee. The New Jersey American Water Company is finishing up their water main and house connection work in wards 1 through 8. Paving and lawn restoration are beyond their way. As I go on to first ward business and relates to the water pipes that were replaced starting last summer up to now, I've received numerous complaints that the ground has not been reseeded where the water mains are on each property, and I was assured that soon they will be reseeded again for the spring season, so hopefully we have the grass to come up with this winter of snow and a lot of rain. It's become very muddy, and it's been, hopefully we can rectify that situation shortly. From the shade tree request, if any First Ward resident has a need for a replanting in front of their property, please give me a call at 908-925-5568. And if you have any other questions and concerns, you can reach me at that number as well. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, and this concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Byer?
Yes, I have a report from the Construction Code. The office has issued 132 permits, 85 certificates for the month of March. This office collected $40,529. I have a little problem in the second ward with vandalism. There's been about 8 people that had their cars, tires slashed. There's been egging and paintballing going on. I just want the people in the second ward, if you have a problem, report it to police. Don't take matters in your own hand and think it's your neighbor or think it's somebody and do something back to them. It's not what you think. It's not your neighbor because you parked in front of their house last night and they don't like you parking in front of their house and you wind up with a flat tire. It's not that way. It's just somebody going around doing these things just on random. We have a lot of surveillance video of it. People in the second ward have surveillance cameras on their property, and this person rides around, it was last Saturday night, on a bicycle, going up and slashing people's tires with a knife. It's obvious, it's right on video. If we can put that face to a name, the police are going to be knocking on their door with a pair of handcuffs for them. So I just want people to know that the police are working on it. They do have a suspect, and they're working on it, just trying to put a name to the face. And in the second ward, if anybody wants a tree planted on city property in front of their house, give me a call. I'll give my phone number at the end of my report. I've been looking for sidewalks that need to be repaired that have been damaged by trees in front of this on city property. If you have a sidewalk that needs to be repaired or a tree on city property that needs to be trimmed, give me a call, and my number is 908-494-0980. That's the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brown?
Thank you. Approval is requested for the following finance actions. The payment of bills totaling $1,640,710.49. The bills have been signed by the mayor, council president, and finance chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the clerk's office. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce the 2014 City of Linden Municipal Budget. The budget represents the total of $100,688,144.28 for expenditures for the year of 2014. The Finance Committee will continue to work hard to reduce expenses wherever possible. The Finance Committee has worked with every department head in keeping expenditures to a minimum. However, due to the state of New Jersey's maximum 2% cap levy and the loss in ratables, the municipal tax rate for the city of Linden will increase by 10 tax points, including the minimum library tax levy, or an increase of $104.80 per household based on an average assessed value of $134,200, or an additional $8.73 a month. This year's budget addresses many issues pertaining to our police department. It puts more cops on the streets, adds additional parking enforcement officers to our city, addresses issues in our police department headquarters, focuses on improving and updating the infrastructure and police department. In addition, this budget addresses issues within public works. We are addressing aging infrastructure, adding additional laborers to their workforce, providing training for additional CDL drivers, which is necessary for the department to continue to provide services for residents and address issues of supervision within the department. Another concern of residents and the council has been to hire a business administrator. We have incorporated the hiring of a BA and staff to address the many concerns of our day-to-day operations in the city and provide for more efficient operations of our government. We're introducing this budget under the 2% cap, which we were not able to do last year. We have been recently been rated by our bond rating council, Moody's, as a stable municipality. However, we are not out of the woods yet. We will continue to work on stabilizing our budget in the years to come. I would like to thank all members of the governing body for the assistance and recommendations of the 2014 budget. I would like to especially thank every department head for their dedication and due diligence in preparing the 2014 municipal budget. Please be advised that anyone interested in obtaining a copy of the 2014 municipal budget can do so through the clerk's office, which is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if you're unable to pick it up in the clerk's office, you can contact the clerk's office at 908-474-8452, and a copy will be sent to you. It is also available on the city's website at www.linden.nj.org. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
President. This is the introduction of the municipal budget of the City of Linden, County of Union for the calendar year 2014. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the the municipal budget for the year 2014. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Union County Local Source in the issue of April 24th, 2014. The governing body of the City of Linden does hereby introduce the following as the budget for the year 2014. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was introduced by the governing body of the City of Linden, County of Union on April 15, 2014. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at City Hall on May 20th, 2014 at 7 p.m., at which time, place, objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2014 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons.
Council President, I make a motion, ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colvis?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. And lastly, just to end the finance report, we talked to the council during a special meeting, and we're going to be trying to do what we did last year, where we held town hall meetings in different wards to explain the municipal budget. I think we got good feedback last year, so we'll be trying to do it again this year. So I just ask residents to keep an eye out or contact the council person when they will be having those meeting dates. I believe we're going to be posting on TV 36 as well as the city's website to get that information out. But I encourage residents to come out when we have these meetings, ask questions about the budget, and we're going to try to be as open and honest as possible. End of report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Armstead, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following issues to report on. First of all, with regards to the work being done in the various wards by the water company, I received a number of complaints, and they're pretty valid. People are concerned. They see the property being dug up, the streets are a wreck. But like the first ward councilman mentioned, they will be reseeding and they will be repaving those streets. And anybody who does have a problem with their property, please don't hesitate to call. It may require some follow-up. Contractors aren't exactly some of the nicest people in the world. They try to cut corners often. So if they need a little nudge every now and again, you call your council person and we'll give them that nudge and make sure that your property is restored to the condition that you feel is satisfactory. Also, I'd like to talk about the Shade Tree Commission. We are having a shade tree planting this year. If anybody in my ward would like to have a tree planted, you can give me a call. My number is 908-377-6384, or you can email me at my Councilman Armstead at comcast.net email. I'd be more than glad to see to it that you get your tree planted. With regards to the statements that the second ward councilman made about the theft of automobiles and damage being done to cars, one of the things you can do as a homeowner is install a camera. I mean, the prices are extremely efficient now. They're at all-time lows. You can buy yourself what they call a PoE switch, a power over the Ethernet switch. You can plug a camera right into it. They're very efficient. They're very accurate, and I think it's probably one of the best ways you can deter crime is to have an extra set of eyes on your house, or even if you don't have one, you can just walk down the street and see if any of your neighbors has a camera, and perhaps someone will pick up some sort of a nefarious activity that's occurring on your block. I have some other business here. We are in receipt of $1,024.11. This is for payment of scrap metal that was delivered to them in March of 2014, and this particular check comes from Riverside Recycling. It's for scrap metal. We have another check in the amount of $4,512.04. This comes from Atlantic Coast Fibers. This is a payment for commingled recyclables, newspapers, etc. And this was received during the month of February 2014. And last but not least, I'm just going to talk about a little something personal. It's been over 20 years since I got involved in politics, and I remember...
Mr. Armstead, it's a governmental meeting.
It's governmental. It has to
Keep it to...
everything to do with governmental, Council President. Okay, it has to do with a governmental agency. And one of the things that I learned when I was out campaigning with John T. Gregorio. God rest his soul. You either loved him or you hated him. But one of the things that he told us was that there's two things you never do. He says, in this business, he says, you never bring shame to your wife. He says, and you never go after another man's family. Okay? And I say this because, once again, DIFAS came calling to my house. And DIFAS is a governmental agency.
Mr. Armstead?
And
Mr.
the
Armstead?
point I'm trying to make, Mr. Moore,
Mr.
please, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
It's,
The point I'm trying to make here
it's
is that
not relevant
there are
to
people
the,
throughout
agenda
the
this
state,
evening.
and there are people in the city of Linden
Mr. Armstead?
who have children who may be
This is
in
not
need,
the forum.
who may be in need of an agency such as DIFAS.
Would you,
Okay?
would you
And if you're in need of
cease
such
and
an
desist?
agency,
Mr. Armstead?
it's just a shame that our resources are being wasted when people
Sir.
make frivolous phone calls
Sir,
for no apparent reason.
will you
So
refrain your
my thing
comments
is
to
this: if
government?
you feel like
I'm going to
you
ask
have
you
to
to
waste,
stop.
if you
Mr.
feel like you
Armstead.
have to waste the government's money by making frivolous calls, think twice about it. Thank you, Mr. President. And that is government business, because DIFAS is a government agency. And the
You
resources,
started out
the
saying it was
resources were being used in Linden,
Thank you.
New Jersey,
I'm gonna call
to come
on,
investigate my home.
Councilwoman Cosby Hurling.
Keep my family out of it.
Not the forum. Councilwoman Cosby Hurling, you have a report for us?
I do.
Thank you.
This report is submitted from the Supervisor of Transportation, Mr. Tyrone Givens. He has submitted a report, monthly financial report for the Division of Transportation and Parking. The report includes the collection of parking meters, railroad daily parking lots, railroad parking meters, and merchant parking permits for the month of March 2014. The grand total is $85,816.21. From the Recreation Division, the Magic Show, which is held annually at the spring break, is going to be free for all of the children. All of the children are welcome. It's going to be held Tuesday, April 22nd, during spring break at McManus Middle School. The first show is at 10 a.m., and the second show is at 11:30 a.m. Again, it's free. It's for preschoolers through fifth graders, and parents and other family members are also welcome to attend. The supervisor is going to be having a meeting with the representative from a company, I'm going to say a school in the local area, and they're going to plan a self-defense course for young women who are college age, so it's going to be like a self-defense course that they're going to do. They're also going to have a Legos camp. This is also in development now for 2015. 8 weeks, once a week, and it's going to be Legos, so that incorporates mathematics and science. This is a popular program throughout the county. Other municipalities are doing that, so we're looking to have that in Linden. New games for the Linden Multipurpose Center have been ordered officially April the 11th, and we were told that they should be delivered within 2 weeks, and it only took 3 years for us to get new equipment. But at any rate, I'm excited, and again, I will announce to the children, they are welcome to attend the facility. Their only restriction is certain gym hours, but the children are welcome to go every day after school. They can do their homework, communities in cooperation. They provide free access for the computers, and they can print their homework, do their reports and such all in one place. The Recreation Department is currently planning the concert series, and the first concert will be June 24th, and the concerts are held at the Raymond Wood Bauer Promenade. We also have a report with regard to the Charles Street Park from the committee. Asphalt has been ordered, and Charles Street Park is the first, project that will be done. It's going to be a brand-new facility, so I'm looking forward to that. I think I have any other committee reports. There's a foreclosure workshop that's going to be held at the library at 6 to 7:30 on April the 30th. It's being put on by the County of Union, Human Relations. This is not just for homeowners who are in fear of foreclosure or could be going through the process. It's actually for tenants as well who may be involved in a property where the owner is facing foreclosure. So it's April 30th, 6 to 7:30. If you have any questions, you can contact Union County Human Relations, 908-889-9028. If you haven't noticed, you may notice soon that the water company is treating the water. It starts today. You may detect a slight odor or a slight taste difference. It's normal and it's only temporary. In the 5th Ward, we have a lot of issues and concerns, and our ward borders the 8th Ward and also the 4th Ward. A lot of us, myself included, are annoyed with the degree of trash that blows and is dumped on the railroad tracks on East and West Baltimore Avenue. We have had the crews come out in public property as the schedule will allow. This is private property, so we can only do so much. I've asked that our construction code look to treat this property just like any other property that's not maintained, and look to issue them summonses to enforce that they keep their property a little cleaner, because it's not fair to those of us who live on the streets that border the tracks. So, just so everybody knows, we're not just, driving by and not concerned. We definitely are concerned, and we're trying to make sure that it looks a little nicer for us. In the 5th Ward, we do have our regularly scheduled community meeting on April 30th at 6:30 at the Linden Multipurpose Center on John Street, and we will have our budget presentation at that time. So if anyone's interested in coming, if you will be going to the other workshops in town, don't worry, you can always get a copy of the budget through the clerk's office. In our ward also, I believe in the budget, we have the speed humps. Now, we've been talking about speed humps on certain streets in our ward for quite some time to slow down the speeding. That's going to have to be considered once it's included into the capital budget. And those streets include Dill Avenue, where we know we have a major problem of speeding. I recently was able to get some signs installed near the school. There's a crosswalk, people just don't even stop on Dill Avenue. So we installed a couple of new signs just to remind folks that we do have people crossing the street. So, and it's a school and we have lots of senior citizens. Before I finish, I want to just thank everyone who came to the aid of my neighbors in the 5th Ward who were devastated by the fire at their apartments. It was not only people who lived there, but people who actually had their small businesses there, and they lost their businesses. So I want to thank especially Mrs. Tango for her efforts on behalf of my neighbors, and the Communities in Cooperation. They're doing a lot, sorting donations and delivering donations, and that means a lot to people who've lost everything. I mean, everything. I'm getting clothes dropped on my porch, and I'm picking up clothes and dropping off clothes. And, I'm just pleased that most of the 5 families have been placed. They have found, permanent housing, and we are just glad that no one was seriously injured in the fire. So with that, I will say to you that Lee's Soul Food has a new location. He's going to be on Roselle Street and Price. He doesn't have his sign up yet. And also, Mr. Grant's Barbershop is located a little further down St. George's Avenue at Drake. So that's the Roselle side at Drake. He's right on the side. You can't miss him. And Ebony Cuts is also relocated, but she kind of has like a private clientele, so I'm not going to announce that. Lastly, the crisis intervention team who has come to some of the 5th Ward community meetings and given information, put on their Easter egg hunt, and I do participate as my schedule will allow. Like, this year's turnout was awesome. The kids were happy, the parents were happy. It was a good turnout, and I wanted to just acknowledge them for the efforts that they do take when it comes to residents with special needs. It's not just the children. They are involved and in tune with adults with special needs as well, because if the police aren't aware and don't know how to treat them, then it could pose a problem for that person in the long run, and that concludes my report. Oh, and happy Easter and happy Passover, I'm sorry. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I've worked with the city clerk and the city attorney to prepare a resolution for next month, for this next council meeting, to improve the decorum of the meetings, and I think we absolutely need it. Councilman
Okay, thank you.
Sadowski.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few things about the 6th Ward. Some of them, I guess, maybe was already talked about, but I'm talking about in 6th Ward. In the 6th Ward, we had since the last month, on Linden Avenue, where they are building that building, we had a windstorm, and some of the girders came down, a few people were injured. Luckily, no one died, but they are taking care of that. Also, in the 6th Ward, we had a holdup. In fact, it was at the end of my street, 9:30 in the morning. So please, whatever time it is, just watch your surroundings, and maybe you could help your fellow person. But this was 9:30 in the morning, held up a store. As mentioned before, the water company is doing a lot of work around town. I've had people call up, same thing as other councilmen. When they're finished, they will restore your property just like it was. And if it isn't to your satisfaction, please give me a call or give us a call. They will come back and fix it up. Aprons and so on and so forth, whatever they destroyed. Couple of good things. The Wawa that they are putting on the highway was supposed to be dead issue. Now it's coming back. We will have the Wawa down there by Smith Street. I just want to congratulate the police. They've been doing a great job with the train station. I check the train station, not every day, to be truthful, and you have a lot of, I won't say vagrants, but someone hanging out there. They have been coming down and dispersing them, so I want to give them congratulations because they're doing a good job. Councilman Minichenko will talk about the tax meeting we will have with the 6th and 7th wards. If you have any tree or sidewalk, please give me a call if you have any kind of trouble or you want something done. I've been going around the ward and putting down some of the places, but if you have something in particular, please call me. My number is 862-0749. As far as computer, I'm very computer illiterate. My computer has been down for 6 months. But I'm happy to say by next month, I hope I will have a new computer, and I will give anyone who wants it my, address, email address, whatever you call it. So that I hope we have. As going through the wards, I went up by Emma Place and up by Clinton Avenue, where the flooding was. I talked to a lot of residents, and they are still angry, scared, whatever you want to call it. And the consensus is that one of the biggest concerns we should have here in Linden should be over the Westbrook Creek. It should be one of the highest priorities we have. We did have a meeting, and finally they are starting to look into this. I don't know how long it will take, but I can't emphasize enough how much the people from Emma Place need help. They need something, and I'm hoping we can give it to them, but it does take time. Let me see anything else. I've been getting calls by people in the 6th Ward. I have no idea where this came from. I will answer it here. No, I am not moving to Delaware. I am not leaving Linden. I do not have a cousin who I want, or nephew rather, who I want to be councilman. I am living here. I am running for council. I hate to act political, but this is what they ask. I am not moving out of Linden. I have no idea where it started. Before I finish, I just want to wish you all a happy holiday coming up. Any kind of questions, please give me a call. And like I said, 862-0749. I hope by next time I have an email for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Minichenko.
Thank you, Council President. I have no committee reports this month, but I do have a few comments and some correspondence to share, which is one of the main issues right now I'm dealing with in Tremley Point. We're having a major problem with truck traffic on Tremley Point Road. I've been working with the traffic department constantly on this. They put up a electronic sign, and I mean, I did get a few calls with saying where the truck traffic has decreased. I did receive one call where You know, there's still some trucks going down there. I mean, you know, we're trying to wrinkle out these problems here, hopefully with the additional of some extra police. Maybe we can police this a little bit more. The problem is, you know, they put in their GPS and they come down Tremley Point Road and they just ignore the traffic signs. So, I mean, we're at wit's end, me and the traffic department, so, I mean, I thank the traffic department. They've been doing a heck of a job, but like I say, some of these truck drivers, they just do whatever they want. And there's just no way to police them. Next, I'd like to thank the Public Property Division. I had a call last week about our dog park. It was in disgusting shape. The water fountain was falling apart. There's garbage all over the place. It was mowed by the gate, and I'd like to thank the Public Property for the quick response on this problem. They really addressed that quickly, and I thank them again. Also on the 7th Ward, if anyone needs a sidewalk repaired that was damaged by a city tree, or if anyone needs a city tree trimmed, please give me a call at 862-6265, or you can email me at mminichenko@linden-nj.org. And also, if anybody needs a shade tree planted, you can also give me a call. As Councilman Sadowski mentioned, we're going to be holding a 6th and 7th Ward meeting. We will be holding a combined meeting with the 6th and 7th Wards to discuss the upcoming 2014 budget. All residents are welcome to attend, and it will be on May 8th from 7 to 8 p.m., and it's going to be held at the Tremley Point Rec Center, which is on the corner of Tremley Point Road and Main Street. Also, I have here, if anyone is interested, the 2014 County of Union Household Hazardous Waste is conducting an event Saturday, June 7th, where you can bring any of your hazardous waste to dispose of, and the hours of operation will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that's at the Union County College on Springfield Avenue in Cranford. Just some of the items you could bring is aerosol cans, antifreeze, batteries, caustics, fire extinguishers, batteries, any mercury, oil paints, pesticides, pool chemicals, solvents, thinners, or gasoline. No latex paint will be accepted at all. You can also bring tires, a limit of 8 tires per household, and also propane tanks if you need to get rid of a propane tank. Also, I received correspondence. There's going to be a job fair held, and this is for Watco companies. Watco companies are the company that's going to be taking care of the crude oil train that ConocoPhillips is going to building over there on Lower Road. And they're currently looking for safety-minded people to operate pumps, hoses, and equipment, people who have mechanical aptitude, supervisors, and a terminal manager at the Linden location. And they will be interviewing in New Jersey on April 23rd and 24th. And to learn more about the job opportunity and pre-register for the job fair by applying online at www.watco companies, that's W-A-T-C-O companies.com. And last but not least, our Police Unity Tour is sponsoring like a fundraiser, and it's going to be at the Lenoir, and the next one's going to be tomorrow night, the 16th, and also on the 24th of April. You could join them on the above dates and show your support. 3 Linden police officers will be making a 3-mile bicycle ride in May to raise awareness for police officers that have died in the line of duty. A percentage of all sales at the Lenoir at these nights will be support this effort. So please bring this mention and mention it to your friends. And the report, Council.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Yamikaitis?
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Fire Department, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected a total of $3,850.25 for the month of February 2014. The Fire Department also received a donation in the amount of $100 from Ms. Sandra Silvestri in memory of Mr. Michael Clark for the use by the Linden Fire Department. I would like to make a motion to accept this donation and request a second.
Second. Yes.
Byer.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
I excuse for a moment.
Minichinko.
Yes.
Yamikaitis.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Kozinski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Okay. I also attended a meeting regarding the Pulaski Skyway rehabilitation at Kane University pertaining to the closure of the 2 lanes on the Pulaski Skyway. This meeting was called for by the Union County Freeholder Board to address what impact, if any, the 2-year closure of the northbound lanes will have on traffic flow in Union County. My concern, of course, was Linden and any increase it might have on South Park Avenue and Brunswick Avenue entering the turnpike or exiting. According to the studies by the DOT, they don't foresee any impact. They are being very proactive in encouraging commuters by increasing trains, establishing new bus route number 95 between Watchung and Newark Penn Station. On the New Jersey Turnpike I-78 extension, the eastbound shoulder will be open as a third lane during morning and evening rush hours. And they are also being proactive by having standby tow trucks to keep the traffic flowing in case of any accidents or breakdowns. As you probably have seen on Route 1 and 9 by the cemetery, there is a message board advertising the amount of time to the Holland Tunnel or using the turnpike. There will also be very proactive if there's any accidents or other tie-ups, so they ask that you please be alerted to that sign, as well as sign up for mobile notifications at pulaskiskyway.com. They are planning to have an increase in helicopters in the Newark, Jersey City area just to monitor this, so those message boards will be kept up to date, as well as any kind of messages you'll receive on your phone. I want to thank everyone who came out to our egg hunt this past Saturday. It was a beautiful day for an egg hunt. I want to say a special thank you to the high school kids from the neighborhood who came out to help without even being asked. They enjoyed it as kids, and it was nice to see them giving back to the community. So thank you everyone who volunteered and came out. As many of my colleagues on council had mentioned about the water company, I have received a few phone calls which I forwarded to our engineer if there's any problem with reseeding from last year, as well as I received complaints regarding Allen Street and Essex Avenue. They're not done. They are coming back. It was just temporary patches that were put in, so you can expect them to be back there. I'm in the process of scheduling an 8th Ward community meeting to discuss the budget. Please keep an eye out for flyers or email messages. I'm having the 8th Ward by itself. As you know, I usually have a packed meeting, so I invite all of my residents to please attend. And as Councilwoman Cosby Hurling mentioned about the tracks, we have several, not just in the 8th Ward, but in other areas around the city, but in my ward in particular, East Baltimore Avenue, Bettle Place, and Urbanowitz, we are having trouble keeping up with the litter, okay? Public Works has been out there regularly trying to keep up with it. I put in another request to have them go out, as well as to have our clean communities work on those projects. I also requested more no littering signs as a hope to be a deterrent, but especially with the illegal dumping, if you see anyone, please try to get a license plate, okay? That's the only thing that we could do to try to stop this, so we'd appreciate any, information you can give us. And if anybody needs to contact me, my number is 908-925-2309. Thank you. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Medina.
Yes, Council President, good evening, everyone. I have a Personnel Committee report, and it's a short one, so it's not that bad. Number one in the agenda, in the Police Department, the hiring of Camille Chanduska of Linden as an educational intern in the Police Department at no cost to the city, effective April 4th, 2014. Number two, in the Finance Department, the appointment of Frank Poduzniak to the position of Staff Accountant at an annual salary not to exceed $15,000 and work hours not to exceed 19.5 per week, and a waiver of the city residency policy. Number three, the approval of FMLA/NJFLA leaves for the following personnel. Employee number 320, paid intermittent FMLA/NJFLA effective 4/1/14 through 12/31/14. Employee 828 FMLA from 3/24/14 through 6/16/14. Employee 107241 FMLA from 2/20/14 through 5/15/14, and employee 91145 FMLA/NJFLA from 4/7/14 through 7/25/14. Number four, approval to hire the personnel needed for the Clean Community programs. The list is on city file. The list is on file in the city treasurer's office. Number five, in In the Department of Public Properties and Community Services, the appointment of Nancy Barber to the position of Recreation Program Coordinator at a salary of $40,100 effective April 24th, 2014, and subject to the Civil Service Commission regulations. I ask for a motion for the approval of the Personnel Committee and ask for a second.
She has questions.
Second.
Excuse me, Mrs. Malik, you have a question?
Number two, does this person bring any special skills to the finance department, and why is this person needed?
Council President.
Could you, please?
I will refer that to Councilman Brown. He's the Finance Chairman. He has more details.
And Christine can also chime in, but long story short, Frank's been working with the city since, I think, a couple months after Joe Saliga died. He was brought in the city part-time, as well as Andy Sam and some other guys, to help with some of the workload. So he's been with the city for some time now. He's helping also, if you look in the budget that's up front on there, you see like various numbers on there, is that basically we have to convert over. When you go in the budget, you see like,
Let's not go into that now, but
yeah, but long story short is that we have to switch over also to the state chart of accounts, which the city has been behind. He's also helped with a lot of the workload that's in the office. He brings experience from the county.
and we don't have any of that in-house?
Some of his specialty, what he's done at the county, he's been able to help get our finances in order and bring a lot of ideas to the table. And Christine can talk more about it, but at the same time, he has, I think, over 40 years of knowledge. He's also, this isn't a new hire. I don't want you to think it is a new hire. This is someone who has been since 2005, 2006, been working for this city, and knows our finances. And I know if Christine wants to explain a little bit more, but this is not a new hire.
All right, but why are we just bringing this up now if he's been for almost 9 years? Why hasn't he been hired full-time, and why haven't we?
He's not being hired full-time now either.
This is
This is
to a
part-time.
position, yeah, to a position of, but why is this coming out in 2014 if this person's been here since 2005?
I don't know who can explain it. I don't know, John, if you can explain it, Christine, or?
I mean, why haven't we done something in-house within the city to accommodate this position?
Mr. Hudak?
Well, the main reason, he retired from the county last year. When he retired from the county, he was forced to retire from the city as well. We have a finance system that we need to upgrade, and bringing him back will allow us to finish the project that we started.
But he's been coming back since 2005. And what, so in 2005, was he a city employee between 2005 and last year?
Yes,
Okay. All right, so he's just coming back now as a part-time employee?
basically a part-time consultant to work with our finance system software that we need to upgrade.
And from 2005 until last year, he was with the city in the finance department on our payroll?
Correct, but last year we needed to do a conversion. We have a finance system that needed to be upgraded to have support, and he started the project to do that. We now need to finish that project.
And is this just going to be for this year that he's going to finish this conversion?
As soon as we can get it converted is as soon as it will finish. I don't know how long it's going to take.
Armando, do you think?
Yes, well, Ms. Malik, I spoke to the department head who's not here tonight due to illness, and she reassured. First, let me just say that I try not to butt heads with department heads. They operate the city on a day-to-day basis. They know the department, and I don't do their job. So we have to trust that they're making the right decisions that will help run the city more efficiently to, at the end of the day, benefit all of us as residents of the city. She assured me that hopefully this project could be completed in 1 year to 2 years' time, and this is just a temporary thing, so it will not be a permanent. It will not be a permanent thing.
Right, and there's only this Frank fellow, he's the only one that could really do this.
As she explained to me, and also as Councilman Brown and Christine behind me, this gentleman has 40 years of experience, and he can actually put together these charts that can go into our admin system that I believe was just upgraded. So They need to finish this so we can be more efficient, I believe.
So the answer is yes, he's the only one that could do this. I
Correct.
don't care about his experience here. Okay. And then the other one for number 5, Nancy Barber, is this new or a replacement? And don't we have, I thought we had a recreation program coordinator.
I don't know who can answer that best, but basically, this individual took a test to civil service, was number 1, and this is, I don't think it's a brand new position, but I don't know how to explain it a little bit better. Maybe someone else can explain it. I know we have our director here.
It's either new or replacement or what?
No, it's brand new.
Brand new, and we
No,
didn't have
you
this?
see,
I mean,
let me stop because I don't know.
Okay.
So Al McDonald's actually here. He could actually explain better.
Thank you, Mrs. Malik, for the question.
This is not a new position. It's a position that's been vacated for some time now due to retirements. There was a person provisionally in the title, and 3 qualified people took the test for the position. This is the person who came out number 1. It is a replacement from previous retirement.
and is the salary of the same range as before?
It's been lowered.
I'll ask for a motion. Would you come up to the microphone, please, and give us your name?
My name is Mildred Curry Johnson.
Thank you.
I guess I have a question about number 5 as well, and I appreciate the fact that someone has asked the question. And it's good to see that Al McDonald is here. My concern is still with the actual programs that are going on at the Recreation Center, the Linden Multipurpose Center. And I don't believe that I ever really got a clear statement from anyone on the council with regard to the actual quality of programming that's supposed to be taking place at the LMPC. However, I do have some concerns that the person who was in fact approved by the city council, Megan Martin, and in fact the mayor told me at an 8th Ward meeting when I asked who was in charge of the Linden Multipurpose Center, that Megan Martin was the program coordinator in charge of that building. So what I would like to do is for someone to explain to me how this process of taking the civil service test automatically removed that person from the position and replaced it with someone else. And I'd like to know more than just the scoring, because it's more than a civil service test score that gives you the qualifications to be able to become a program coordinator of a recreation center.
Councilman Cosby Hurley, could you address that?
Mrs. Curry Johnson, the civil service exam was simply a written exam, and it was scored by the numeric score. And we had asked the question about qualifications and how all of that all worked. Most people know that I believe in people taking tests for the positions. The unique part about this exam that was given, and this is the last night to a point that we found out today for this position, the department head has the choice of choosing the person who's currently serving provisional if they score 1, 2, or 3 on the exam. So Mr. McDonald has recommended Ms. Barber based on the numeric score. I don't know what else he used to make his recommendation, so.
I'd like to hear from him.
Okay.
Here's some programs that are coming up in the center if you want to keep this.
Thank you for that question. Will you take your seat, and we'll try to get you an answer.
Thank you.
Mr. McDonald?
There is some discretion given by civil service for appointments, either if you come out 1, 2, or 3 on the test. However, there was only 3 people who took the test. One person obviously scored quite a bit higher than everybody else. All 3 of the applicants were qualified for the position. In the Recreation Division, I cannot remember in the 30 years that I've been here that we have ever taken anyone who didn't score number 1 on a particular position, other than when we have hired more than one person for a particular title, such as a...
Ms. McDonald, can you speak
Yes.
a little louder so she can hear, so you can have a seat?
Okay.
Take a
Because I
seat.
couldn't hear.
Yeah, I realize that.
Do you want me to repeat everything?
Could you,
Just Council President,
Mr. Hudak?
I just want to add something to what Mr. McDonald said. There's a certain discretion as what's known as the rule of three in civil service. However, that rule has recently been limited by the courts. In order to skip someone, you have to have very specific reasoning. So it is not a ultimate discretion. You have to have specific reasons for skipping someone who comes out number one on the test, or if number one doesn't take it, number two. So it's not just open discretion, it's very limited discretion.
And as I said, all three of the people who took the test were qualified for the position, so it really is only right that we choose the person who came out number one, whoever that may have been. I don't remember a time in the 30 years that I've been here, over 30 years I've been here, that in the Recreation Division we have taken someone other than the person who scored number one on a particular position, unless, like I said before, it was a multiple position that we were testing for. There were times when we have tested for, we were filling more than one of the same title. This is not the case. It was one we were filling, so obviously we were, that would be my recommendation, to take the person who scored number one.
Thank you very much. Please. State your name for the clerk.
Laura Lee Wade. I have a question about the same position. From what I understand, in that the person that is in the position now is making at least anywhere from $50-something to $60,000. So why is it being dropped so low for somebody with the same qualifications and longer service in the city of Linden?
Yes. Is that your question?
Yes.
Thank you. Would you take your seat and we'll
Sure will.
get you an answer? Mr. Armstead, you require, wish to address
I don't
that?
want to give her an answer, but I want to say to her
Well,
that I had the
then-
very
then,
same concern.
Mr. Armstead, I'm just looking for an answer. Mr. Hudak, you have an opinion on that?
That would be for Personnel and Finance Committee. They control the salary.
Mr. Medina?
Whoa, don't give it.
Yes, Council President. The only thing I could tell you is that we're looking at all of our salary ordinance. So when there's a position that's not filled or is going to get ready to be filled, we're trying to create some new min and max within regulations and all the legalities. I don't know why the other individual is at a higher salary. My understanding, that individual came in at a higher salary. That's really what I can tell you. We're just trying to reshape our salaries here to make it more affordable for our residents, basically.
Excuse me? No, please. Did that answer your question?
No.
Would you sit down, please, and we'll have Mr. Medina rephrase it?
Okay.
Could you give her additional information on it?
I really don't have any additional information. Firstly, the committee came out with that min and max. Again, it's not just one position that we're targeting. It's basically we're looking at a scope of positions throughout the city. When a position becomes vacant, we're reevaluating those min and max for that position. Unless Mr. McDonald wants to chime in on this one, I don't know. I don't know what else to say to this one.
Mr. McDonald, can you add anything to what Mr. Medina said? And for the folks at home, could you speak into the mic?
I personally don't have any, input on the min and maxes. However, when and I'm going to try to answer your question specifically. When the person who was provisional in the title applied for the job, there's a min and maximum set, and based on qualifications, experience, and many factors, we decided at that point, when they're coming into the title, what in that range they should be getting, okay? At that point, we hired that particular person at an elevated salary. It wasn't at the minimum. It was somewhere between the min and max. The committee decided to lower that maximum in this new title. It's not a new title, but it was an inactive title, and that's when they can lower it or change it in any way they see fit. They chose to lower it, and now the person in the lesser title will be making more money because they already were. You cannot take away money from somebody that they're already making. You can't just indiscriminately say we're taking $10,000 or $20,000 away from you. So this isn't a unique situation. The only thing that is a little bit different is that it was done during the time that the posting took place. So the position was advertised as one salary, but by the time someone was put in the position, it was lowered by the committee. I really don't have anything to do with that. I'm just trying to give an explanation.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, can you add to any information for the,
No, I just have a quick question. Al, you said this wasn't a unique situation. Long story short.
Mr. Brown,
it's-
well, we're working on an answer for the constituent.
I think this kind of answers and adds a little to it. This isn't the first time something like this has happened where
Mr.
someone
Brown,
goes-
I'm just looking to try to get an answer for the speaker.
Can
Do
I
you
ask
have-
a question?
Is there anything you could add?
I would like to ask a question. Can I ask a question?
We have a question on the floor that we're trying to answer. You have an, can you add to the answer?
I'm hoping Al can. If I'm able to ask Al my question, maybe that sheds a little bit more light, but
It's related to this?
yes, it's related to the
Go
salary.
ahead, sir.
So, Al, you mentioned that this is not unique. Again, has this happened in the past where someone at a higher position has been making less money than someone in a lower position?
That part of it is not unique. It is because many times when someone is hired, someone has been on the job for X amount of years or had a certain amount of qualifications that they were put in an elevated salary within that min and maximum. So that part of it is not unique. What I was trying to explain that was a little unique was that the job was posted at a certain min and max, and it was changed by the time the position was filled. So that makes it a little unique, but a person at a lesser title making more money than a person at an upper title is not totally unique. It does happen for many reasons.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion, please.
Yes, Council President, I ask for motion for the approval of the personnel report. I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes to all, abstain on number 5.
Armstead?
I'm a yes to all and qualify my vote on number 5 because I have some mixed emotions. And on the one hand, I'm very happy for Mrs. Barber who took that test and scored high on it. And, she was looking forward to receiving a certain salary. The position was posted at a certain salary, and I think it reeks of unfairness for us to drop that salary down to the levels that it's been dropped down. Because if Mrs. Barber probably would have known that she was posting for a position of such a low salary, maybe she wouldn't have posted for it. I think it's unfair for us to make a change right in the middle after a person has posted for a position or has at least scored the highest on that particular test. So on the one hand, I'm very happy that she received the position, and she is going to be getting a very nominal increase. It's very minimal. So I'm happy, but I'm also would encourage Mrs. Barber to seek whatever action that she may to try to remedy this situation, because I think an unfairness has occurred. Okay, Mrs. Barber, and you do whatever you have to do to make sure that, this is addressed properly. So with that, I will vote yes, Mrs. Barber, but again, I do encourage you to seek whatever action you may feel
Mr.
necessary.
Armstead, your vote is?
My vote is yes.
Crosby Hurling?
No to all except number 4.
Sadowski?
Excuse me, listening to everyone, it is a mess. I have to vote yes, though.
Minichinko?
Well,
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes to all, but I abstain on number 5. We're moving on to, you'll have an opportunity, depending on what your question is. Would you have a seat, please? Excuse me, would you have it?
Got the job.
Would you have a seat? We, ma'am? This is not the public session. You've had the opportunity to, thank you. Mr. Mayor, you have a report for us tonight?
No, you got to finish Mr. Medina's report.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Medina?
Thank you, Council President. I do have a ninth ward report, and I'll keep it brief.
I apologize.
First of
I
all-
got to ask you to be quiet, please. Mr. Medina, will you continue, please?
Yes, for the ninth ward, I want to thank everyone that came out for the joint ninth and 10th ward community meeting a few weeks ago. I also want to thank Chief Schuhafer, Captain Hart, and Sergeant Fernandez for attending and addressing the recent activities in Sunnyside. The police are active in addressing these issues in Sunnyside and throughout the city. Also, I want to thank everyone that came out to the community meeting at Central Park. The owners of Central Park, Lewis and Kostrov, are aware of the issues that their patrons are causing for the residents on Northwood Avenue and on Yale and Harvard. We had a positive meeting, and hopefully we should have one issue addressed, and with some enforcement from our police officers and also the detail that they hire on the weekends, we could start really hammering away at some of these issues. So I just want to thank everyone that came out there, all the folks from Harvard and Yale. Also, I have been very active reporting potholes to the DPW, but if you have experienced a road in the ninth ward that needs to be looked at, then please reach out to me at 908-986-6100. Also, I will be submitting my sidewalk repair list hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. But if you have a sidewalk that is damaged due to a city tree, then please give me a call as well so I can submit it. Also, the tree crew will hopefully be in the ninth ward sometime in June, July. I don't even know what ward they're in now. I think they're in the, I don't know if it's 7th or 8th. But I do have the list. They have the list of all the trees that need to be trimmed. So just be patient. They'll be in the ninth ward, and we can address some of these tree issues. Lastly, I am working on a ninth ward newsletter, and I will be including some dates for community building events, community meetings, and joint 9th and 10th ward events. So keep your eyes out for the newsletter that will hopefully go out in a few weeks. Other than that, summer's here, well, spring is here, but the weather is nice, so I hope everyone is enjoying it. Try to be safe on the roads, enjoy the parks, pick up after your bottles, and if you see a piece of litter and it's a garbage can, please pick it up. I will be out and about at Wilson Park and Paul Walkmeister Park, and also Newton Street Park. And when I see basketball groups, I will kindly ask them to please pick up their bottles, because they do tend to leave it behind. Other than that, that concludes my report, and happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kuczynski.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to say, from the 10th Ward, I'll start with that. I gave a private thank you to Chief Schuhafer the other day. I want to give a public thank you. There were a couple things I asked for, and as the chief might attest to, I've been kind of a thorn in the side about a lot of things in the 10th Ward when it comes to police presence. Luckily, we don't have some of the crime, but we also have a lot of issues that do require police patrol. And they have responded, and I have gotten calls from residents, and I think it's only fair that I also mentioned months ago when I would say I'm getting calls about residents saying they don't see police. I'm getting calls now that residents do see police, and I just want to thank Chief Schuhafer on that. Now, of course, it's not perfect. There are certain areas of the ward that I would like to see more police presence, but I'm thankful for the start. With that, also warm weather comes not only children on the streets, but also solicitors in the streets. If you see solicitors, don't ever feel the need that you have to open your door. I've said this numerous times. Somebody knocks on your door, I don't care if they say they're from Verizon, Vivint, or any of the other companies that they say they're from. Don't ever feel like you have to open the door to anybody. You can always call the police. That's what you pay taxes for. Call the police first and then call me. I had a few residents that called me first. I want to know. Please keep me in the loop, but call the police first. And you can always make an anonymous complaint. Don't ever feel threatened in your own home. And we have had, I believe it was last year, a solicitor. I noticed a solicitor. I called the police. The police actually found him a couple blocks away, and there were some questionable things that were happening in our houses, but we were able to catch the guy. So I would just ask you all, people, please be vigilant. Residents on North Style Street near Winfield Park and Raritan Road there, a couple people have asked me about the development in Clark. If you're not familiar with it, it's the Clark Commons development where the old gypsum plant used to be. One of the main concerns people kept bringing up was the idea that might be traffic impacting us down here. The few individuals I spoke to, of course, I didn't dive into it too specifically with them yet, but I just wanted to get it out there. Some of the people involved don't believe the traffic's going to reach down to us just because it's such a long part of the road. But it's something, I will definitely keep in mind if that's a concern that some of those residents have, and as the development progresses, I will make sure to. I did that in Cranford when they were talking about building across the street in Cranford. I attended a few meetings in Cranford to express the concerns, and I'll do the same if there are concerns from residents for that particular development, and I'll be happy to go there and talk to them. St. George, I've received a complaint just recently about some late night paving. That's the state contractor's doing it. I guess they're doing it at night thinking it's going to not to inhibit the traffic flow during the day, but you might see them at night. I've made it known that some of our residents don't appreciate it at 11 o'clock at night, but I will also keep on that. We don't have much say on it since it is the state doing it for St. George, but I did point out the problem we're having with it. Excuse me. I'd also like to say that one of the things when I started, I was looking for a place that children in 10th Ward could go. We don't have a rec center in our area. One of the things that I did reach out for at the Board of Ed was the possibility of maybe opening up some of the schools in our area for some after open gym type of things, or if we have any kind of events there. And it is progressing along well. And again, the problem, you might think it's easy going, that you might have it's a school, it's a city thing, and all that. It's not that easy because the school board, as you know, is a separately elected board, and they seem very willing to work with us, talking to the different individuals. But it's something that has to get hammered out before we can actually do it. But hopefully, we will get something going relatively soon on that. And I would like to mention from the Friends of the Linden Library, there's going to be two fundraisers coming up. One, a shopping day at Lord & Taylor. You buy $5 passes, and you can go shop from 9 to 11 p.m. You can buy those passes up till April 29th at the library, and that's the Lord & Taylor in Westfield. Sorry about that. If you have any questions, you can contact Carol Hall at 908-355-4643 or email library.friend@yahoo.com. There will also be a fundraiser at Pizza Hut on May 13th between 4 and 8 p.m. It's one of those things you go in there with a voucher, and 20% of your bill gets donated to the library, Friends of the Linden Library. So you can get the vouchers at the library up until 6 p.m. on 5/13 as well. With that, I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holidays, happy Easter. Stay safe, enjoy the weather, and if you have any questions, concerns, anything with trees, I know the tree plantings are coming up. Feel free to give me a call at 908-463-9234 or email me at akazinski@linden-nj.org. Thank you, Mr. Council President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Yes, I do, Council President. Thank you. I'm pleased to report that on May 8th, we're going to have a meeting with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Mayor Bowledge, and his engineer from the City of Elizabeth, the Department of Transportation, and myself here in the City of Linden. And we're going to discuss a long-needed project which has been on the drawing board for 20 years, and that's the missing link, what we call the missing link locally. And that's the intersection of 278 and Route 1 and 9. As most Linden residents know, there's only one entrance to 278, which is northbound, and one exit from 278, which is southbound, moving right into the fast lanes of the Route 1 and 9 southbound traffic. We've had numerous accidents and deaths there in the past, and that's a heavily traveled road because it's a 3/4 mile road that brings you into the turnpike and also into the Goethals Bridge. And it also forces, because of the lack of entrances and exits, both east and westbound on 278. It forces a lot of traffic to use Park Avenue to get to the Turnpike and also to the Goethals Bridge and other side roads. Well, again, I'm pleased to announce that going back about a year and a half ago, I had a breakfast meeting with Governor Christie in Drumthwacket. I brought many concerns that I had about the city of Linden, and Governor Christie approved the funding of that project, where they're going to have a whole new engineering design where 278 meets Route 1 and 9, and he's attaching that to the Goethals Bridge project, which is going to be building a whole totally new Goethals Bridge. So we're going to get the money from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. It's going to be supervised by the DOT, and we're having the preliminary meetings starting May 8th. So I'm excited about a project that's finally gotten off of the drawing board and getting some attention, and we should have a far better intersection that'll reduce accidents and also reduce a lot of traffic off of Park Avenue, which I know Councilwoman Yamakaitis will be pleased to hear. Also, I'm pleased to announce that we had a study done of our fire department. Insurance Services does a study periodically of fire departments, and that study is used by insurance companies and the underwriters to set rates. And they do an exhaustive study, and they check the location of fire hydrants, the amount of fire hydrants, the water pressure, the amount of manpower, the amount of equipment, the type of fire prevention activities that our Fire Prevention Bureau does. It's a very exhaustive study. And on a scale of 1 to 10, our fire department under Chief Rizzo, and I commend him for it, got rated number 2. So you can't do much better than that. And that, of course, again, impacts the rates that everybody pays for fire insurance in the city of Linden. And lastly, today we had an energy auction. I think I've mentioned to a lot of people in the past, this governing body had passed an ordinance supporting commercial utility consultants who are going to bid on energy for residents in the city of Linden. And everybody is included in this energy aggregation bid. You could opt out of it if you choose to do so, but on the state law, the company cannot charge you any more than what PSE&G charges you. They can't charge you higher. And you could opt in and out anytime you want. If you want to opt out tomorrow, you could opt out tomorrow, and if you want to opt back in 6 months from now, you could opt back in. You sign no contracts like with other third-party utility consultants. This is strictly something that is going to be beneficial to the residents, and they had a bid today. This corporation, and I watched over their shoulder the different energy prices coming on board. And it turned out that this corporation was not satisfied with the bids that came out for electricity this month. And therefore, they recommended that the bids were too high and that we should not get involved in accepting any of the bids, and that we should go back out for bid next month and see if it's going to be advantageous to save our residents money. Now, Tom's River has been into this program, and last year they saved 12% on their energy bills. Again, it cannot go any higher than what your energy bill would be, you would receive from PSE&G, so there's no risk whatsoever, and there's no downside whatsoever. But again, to show you the quality company that's here to serve the residents of Linden and get us the cheapest possible prices, they refused to bid because they felt it was too high, and I think that's a credit to this corporation. So we'll be seeing next month if we could get a better price, and it will be reflected in your monthly bills, because the bid will be either 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or 2 years. again, depending upon the type of price that the company will recommend we approve. And lastly, I just would like to wish everybody a happy Easter and a happy Passover. End of report, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. We're moving to resolutions 2014-159 to 185. Public comment will be permitted on our specific resolutions be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions which have been prepared by the clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does
Council-
anyone,
I'm sorry.
does anyone wish to remove resolutions 159 through 185 on my right? Pat Hero? 161? 162? 167? 177? 185? Excuse me. Okay, I have an announcement after we, in the center, sir? 161, 162, 167, 174, 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 182, 183. Ms. Mount? 167, 168, 175, 175, 177 to 183. Anyone else in the center? On the left? Ask for a motion on the remainder.
I move for approval of resolutions 2014-159 to 2014-185, with the exceptions of 162, 161, 162, 167, 168, 170, 74, 175, 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 182, 183, and 185, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, I'd like to make a quick announcement. The Linden, what the mayor was talking about, the energy audit people, Linden launches process to cut residents' energy costs at the public meeting will be scheduled April 28th at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. And that's in where, Mayor?
Yeah, I apologize, Council President. I forgot to announce, there's going to be a public meeting with the consultants at the JTG Center at April 28th. There's going to be one at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and the same meeting will be at 7 p.m. in the evening for any of the public that wants to hear all the details and ask any questions about this consulting firm that's going to save us money on our energy bill. Again, I apologize for not announcing that during my report, Council President.
Well, I think we got it out there now. Thank you. I'd like to ask Pat Hero to come up and speak for 3 minutes on 161.
Actually, I'm just going to batch 161 and 162, although it would give me more minutes if I spoke on both individually. Basically, Judge Cassidy made a great decision with regard to this. So what is the ongoing nature of the services with regard to this?
This is for the bills to date. The matter is concluded, but bills still come in, and you have to still pay the bills. They came in after the hearing.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you.
Motion, Mr. Sharpie.
Yes, the same one, 161, 162. Why should us property tax owners have to pay for this? Answer, please.
Mr. Hudak, what's the legal ramification?
Why should a property
Mr.
tax
Sharpie,
owner-
you asked the question. Let me
I'm
get you-
asking, why should us property tax owners have to pay for this legal services? And even with the next ones, with the ethics ones?
Okay, have a seat, and I'll get you an answer. Mr. Hudak.
Council President, council voted to go forward with the action. That's the basis of why it occurred.
Thank you. Because your representatives voted for council to represent, so that in this situation where there was a question that. Thank you for the question, and I have to conclude with that answer. I ask for a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass resolutions 2014-161 and 2014-162 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
I abstain on both. Moving to 167, Pat Hero.
Well, I'm glad to see another new name, I guess, in terms of planning, rather than some of the traditional ones I've seen in the past. I have to ask, why is the services of a planner needed for the city of Linden to review existing city ordinances for a total sum not to exceed $10,000?
Councilman Kaczynski.
This is Hero. This was something that went under revenue enhancement, are a lot of our zoning ordinances. So when it says city ordinances, don't think it's every single ordinance. It's our zoning ordinances. They're, by the explanation of our professionals, are very out of date, and they would wind up costing time, when usually when we're dealing with entities, when they charge us by the hour, time could equal dollars. So for $10,000 to update our zoning ordinances, we decided it was probably best to take this route now to help us avoid problems in the future.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'll ask Mrs. Malik to come. And Mr. Sharpie, you have a question on it?
Could this go out for bid?
Mr. Hudak has gone out for bid.
It's under the bid threshold, and it's a professional service.
Thank you. I ask for a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution 2014-167 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 168, Ms. Malik.
Do we have funds for these two officers' salary without getting this grant?
Chief Schulhaver.
Yeah, this wording is a little confusing. This grant is for two existing police officers. Yeah, this is a grant we've been getting since the early 1990s. It's a $60,000 grant that goes toward two existing salaries. So in other words, before the grant, we would have been paying $167,000. Now we're paying $117,000.
Okay.
I have a motion on
I move for approval of Resolution 2014-168 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Sharpie, 174, please.
Yes, this public defender, could they be put on a yearly salary instead of every time it's special, the public defender? You know, why every time we need a special type public defender, why couldn't two public defenders be appointed for the whole year? So every month or every time a special case comes up, whether the public defender can speak English and he can't speak bilingual, why can't the city just hire two public defenders throughout the year instead of every time a special case comes up, we had to get another public defender? And especially when it's politically connected.
Mr. Hudak, you have a comment on that?
Yes, Council President, we have two public defenders. There often come up cases in the court where multiple defendants, which would create a conflict of interest for the public defender to represent multiple defendants in the same matter. So in those types of cases, we have to go outside and get an additional public defender. I would note that from past years, when we only had one public defender and we assigned a lot of cases out, the budget has been reduced substantially by having the two public defenders, since our need for additional public defenders has been greatly reduced.
Thank you. Motion, please.
I'd like to make approval for Resolution 2014-174 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Medichenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 175, Ms. Malik.
What's included in this project, and where is, it's Wood Avenue, but where is this streetscape project located?
Mr. Mayor?
This is the area around the train station. About 6 months ago, we got roughly $1 million from the DOT as a grant because of our transit village status. And so what the project committee decided to do is to hire a planner out of some of that grant money so that they could decide what's the best way to spend that money, which could only be used for beautification around our train station. What we intend to do is start from the trestle and work north and south as far as the money would go, with streetscapes and with crosswalks, and again, only for beautification. But we need a professional to guide us in the proper way of spending that money for the best bang for our buck.
So when this went out to bid, as part of the process in selecting the company, did they make any sort of proposal of what would be included, so you have some ideas and you were able to judge it on that merit?
No, what they did was they presented to us their expertise and also the price. They were $3,000 higher than the lowest bidder. So they were the second lowest bidder. And this company, Boswell, has done numerous projects up in North Jersey. And again, we have a consultant that is knowledgeable about grants, and he, along with the project committee, reviewed the 7 proposals we had and chose this company as being number 1, the second cheapest, and also having the most expertise.
But just based on expertise, but not ideas or concepts, was that never proposed?
That's what we're hiring them for. That's what the 60-some-odd thousand is to hire them for, to give us a design on how to best spend the money, which is a grant to the city of Linden.
Council President.
All right, I'm just looking that when proposals go out, they'll come back with something, not just their expertise, because everyone could have the expertise, but just some
I disagree.
well-founded ideas. Okay. Mr. Brown, you...
Which take seat and we'll get your question, answer. Councilman Brown?
No, Mr. Malik, you bring up an excellent point. And if you want to see the proposals, there wasn't 7, I think it was 6 proposals. I'm not sure, Joe, do we have copies of those in the office? Like, it just showed basically, if you look at the proposal, color pictures of what they did in other towns, but there was no proposal as far as what's going to be done on Wood Avenue. So you make a valid point. We're paying someone to develop a plan where most of the time when we ask for a service is when we go out to bid is, what are you guys going to do for us, and some type of proposal. So you make a valid point, I think.
Thank you. Motion, please.
I move for approval of Resolution 2014-175 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Moving to 177, Pat Hero, please. And I believe,
Okay, although my questions with regard to 177, it would apply equally as we go down to 183.
however, I need to keep it in order, so you're
Right,
going to
well, I'm
speak.
just saying, the question I have is relevant to all of them, so I'll just use
So you're
177
going to
as...
speak on 177, 178, 179, 180?
No, I'm just like batching, the same way I always do it. I'm just going to address 177 because my issue applies to all of those.
And that's all your,
That's all.
thank you.
Except for 185, of course, don't forget that. But anyway, with regard to 177, that's a one local ethics board complaint, right? Just one we're talking about.
Ms. Hero, there's a matter that's been pended was filed against every member of the governing body. They have a right, if they so choose, to have an attorney represent them. Several council people have, and these are the resolutions, 177 through 183, retaining those attorneys. They've all been named individually, including some past council members.
Okay, well, for example, you said there's several complaints and these are just,
There's
or is there one
there's
complaint?
one complaint naming the
All
entire
these
body.
people,
Correct.
because they're witnesses, right?
It's a matter before the board in litigation. It's simply there's a complaint pending against all members of the governing body and some past members. They have a right, if they so choose, to have an attorney, and these council people have asked for an attorney to represent them before the board.
Okay, well, how does somebody bring a complaint before the local ethics board, and what is a local ethics board?
The local ethics board is in the Department of Community Affairs. Under the local ethics law, any citizen can file an ethics complaint if they believe one of the laws have been violated or one of the rules have been violated. There's a procedure online. You can go to the state website for the Department of Community Affairs, and they would show you how to do it.
Okay, well, I'm not necessarily going to be filing any local ethics board complaints, but is that also a matter of public record? For example, if I went on that website, would I be able to get this information as to
Again,
this
it's a
complaint?
It's a state agency. I wouldn't be able to tell you whether it is or not. It's within their rules and their prerogatives.
Okay, but obviously a complaint had been filed.
Correct.
Okay, but do we know the individual who filed the complaint?
No.
Okay.
You never know that.
Interesting. Okay, well, that seems to be somewhat unfair, but anyway, I digress. Okay, I guess that answers my questions on this. Thank you.
So that would satisfy your questions on all the ones that are similar? Did anyone else request to speak on 177 individually? Mr. Sharpie? You batching them or individually? All right, would you batch them, please?
These ethics charges have been put up. I think the city council people should be responsible. If they're being brought individually, I don't feel that the taxpayers are required to that. If each attorney represented here, you know he's going to take $1,000. He's going to take 7 times $1, $150 an hour. You know he's going to get us for $8,000. So I think it should be deducted off their salaries. If they're being brought up, all 8 of them, I feel that they represent us, let them pay for their own attorneys. Since certain individual put these extra charges up, and Mr. Cozio, he's not even on the council right now. Is he? I don't see him there, no. Oh, Mr. Byer. Okay, you have him, Mr. Cozio up here. Okay, you have it on here. Is he up here now? I don't see him there. So should that money be taken out of us taxpayers here? Mr. Cozio is not up here. He's not on city council, is he? You have him up here, Mr. Cozio.
Thank you. So you spoke on the batch. Mr. Huda, could you explain to him why Mr. Cozio is on the agenda? Because he was,
The charges relate to when he was a sitting councilman. I
Thank
already
you.
went through that before, Council President.
thank you. Ms. Malik? Could you batch him?
And it's all batched. Okay, the same thing, I have a question, why is the city picking up the tab? And then all of these from 177 to 183 read the same. My question is, what is this all about? The local board's complaint, are we privy to understand what this complaint is?
It's a matter under litigation, it's confidential at this point.
I couldn't just
It's a matter under litigation, it's confidential at this point.
Okay. Well, the other comment I'll just make, this is 70% of our council, even though Councilman Cozio is no longer here, but when he was here, so it was 70% of our council has this issue.
Ms. Malik said you're aware, 100% of the council and some past council people and the mayor have the issue.
Wait, I can't speak up.
100% of the council, some past council members, and the mayor have the issue. These council people have chosen to be represented. Others have chosen not to be represented. It's within their each own prerogative whether they chose to do that or not.
Okay, so 100% of our council. Interesting. All right, thank you.
Have you signed the sheet to speak? Sure. But next time, would you please? Come on.
You can't give her the letter.
Mildred Curry. Well, I was quite surprised to see all of these issues relating to ethics.
And, excuse me for
Being
interrupting.
charged. Excuse
Are
me?
you addressing the batch?
I'm addressing the batch.
Thank you.
And my concern is, if it's not known who the person is who filed those particular charges against the council, then what happens if they're exonerated? We still have to pay this bill as taxpayers, and if they're exonerated and they're found innocent of that, what happens then? My concern is that...
Ms. Curry, all I can say is that as in any investigation, and if you've ever seen
Speak up a little bit.
as in any investigation, if you've ever seen what generally a prosecutor will say is they will not even confirm or deny an investigation is ongoing. The Ethics Board has rendered charges, but they will not tell you who or what the charges came from. They'll tell you what the charges are, but where the complaint, who the complaining witness is kept confidential for various reasons, and mostly to protect that people know that they can make a complaint without being retaliated against. So,
I can understand that. However, it just upsets me because I don't think I remember ever seeing this happen before. Has anyone on the...
I've never seen it in 25 plus years of practice that the entire governing body has been named in a complaint. So it's an unusual situation.
It seems like there's a new trend, and I guess it would put us all on notice. I'm not a representative for the city of Linden, but it certainly puts all of our representatives on notice that you must be mindful of what you say, how you act, what you do, especially if there's a Department of Community Affairs that would allow someone, anyone, to make a formal charge against you for a violation of ethics. and you'll never know who they are. So to me, it just sends a message. Get your house in order. Do the right thing. Thank you.
We have a motion on the batch 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 182, and 183.
I move for approval of resolutions 178 through 183 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes to all, and abstain on 179.
Byer?
Yes to all.
Brown?
Yes to all, abstain on 77.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes to all, abstain on 178.
Sadowski?
Yes on all except abstaining on 182.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes to all, abstaining on 183.
Medina?
Yes to all, abstain on 181.
Kaczynski?
Yes to all.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. We'll move into ordinance on first reading.
185.
185.
Would you come up, please?
The good news is doing this as long as I have, if you had listened to me, we wouldn't be here in the first place because, of course, however many years ago this was, I told you wasn't a good idea. And of course, now we're coming to the execution of a settlement agreement in the Morningstar versus City of Linden litigation. Now, being that it's the execution of a settlement agreement, I know, and if I didn't know, Mr. Hudak would probably tell me that we really can't discuss this right now because it's executing a settlement agreement, right? And it hasn't been
You would be correct.
finalized.
Until after it's voted on and approved, then it's a public document.
Exactly. So I'm going to have to wait on this, but hopefully I will be coming into the city clerk's office and may be able to get a copy of this after you vote on it. And I hope it's to the benefit of the city of Linden because, and I get to remind you again, government does not belong in the redevelopment business because if government got out of the redevelopment business, we wouldn't have to be having litigation like this and we could save the taxpayers money. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize for missing that. Motion, please.
I move for approval of resolution 2014-185 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Abstain.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minichinko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
No.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No. I'd like to move into ordinance on first reading, 5822.
Ordinance 5822, bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $121,000 for renovations to the ventilation system in City Hall and authorizing the issuance of $114,950 in bonds or notes for financing part of the cost thereof.
Anybody in chamber wishes to make a comment? Motion, please.
Council President, make a motion for ordinance 58-22 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minerchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Deputy Clerk, 5823, please.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $110,000 for the acquisition of asphalt for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $104,500 in bonds or notes for financing part of the cost thereof.
Members of the audience wish to make a comment? Seeing none, ask for a motion.
Council President, I make a motion to introduce ordinance 58-23 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling? Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minerchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5824.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $154,000 for the construction of a water spray park in Memorial Park and authorizing the issuance of $83,600 in bonds or notes for financing part of the cost thereof.
Comments, please? Please, Ms. Malik.
Is this water park coming in our 2013 budget or our 2014 budget?
Christine?
Oh, we can answer that.
And is it budgeted in one of these?
It is budgeted as part of the 2014 budget.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Mr. Sharpie?
Just a question on this, you know, we got other parks in the city. I've seen these in other cities. We have some other parks within the city. Could they possibly, some of the bigger ones where they got a big location, like in certain wards, some of our parks could handle this? Why does it only have to be all over Memorial Field? Why couldn't this be broken up into parks throughout the city? Why does it have to be one end of the town? Why can't the other parks be entitled to the same?
Council, will you please take that in consideration when you go to vote? Motion, please? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Harrow. Not intentional.
Yes, I have a question with, actually, I shouldn't have a question with regard to this because technically, I guess I'm not supposed to ask questions. I mean, not questions that you can really answer during first reading. But my basic thing is, you know what? How do we save money? Now, maybe water spray parks are really a nice thing. You know, like going on a vacation would be a really nice thing for some of us taxpayers. But you know what? If you don't have the money, you don't do it. This is how we save money. This is how we protect the budget. Because when some of us are going without food, and some of us are going without medical care, and some of us are going without dental care, you get the picture. Maybe a water spray park we really don't need. Yeah, you could say, well, when some of these people are going without that, at least their kids can go to a water spray park. And I see your point on that. But really, I don't like my taxes going up, and believe me, sometimes in other counties, they're actually going down. So, I mean, I think we should look at saving money, not spending taxpayers' money, okay? Saving, not spending. Just keep repeating that, okay? And if maybe I should do it so it really sinks in. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Any other comments? Motion, please?
Can't respond. Council President, make a motion for the introduction of ordinance 50-24 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
No.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
No.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No. Deputy Clerk, 5825.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $198,000 for the acquisition of carts for the automated sanitation truck for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $188,100 in bonds or notes for financing part of the cost thereof.
Comments? Sir?
This will be for all homeowners throughout the city, these cards?
Mr. McDonald? The carts?
They're for
Would you
all,
come to the mic?
all awards or just,
Mr. Sharpie, take a seat, please, and we'll get you an answer.
yeah, award or all?
Oh, I'm so, I apologize. This is, would you make a statement, because this is for this part of the, here? It's a question. Could you rephrase it to your opinion?
Are these cards for the whole
could you
city or
Mr.
just
Sharpie,
certain wards?
Could
The
you
cards, the cards that are for the sanitation trucks, are these cards for all city residents or just one particular ward?
May I remind you that this part of the hearing is for your input so that we can make a decision later on. So could you rephrase? Well, I need a statement from you, not a question.
All city residents will get these cars in their homes, or just certain wards?
I understand your point. Thank you. Motion, please.
Ask for introduction of ordinance 58-25 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5826, please.
Bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of various items of capital equipment for the Public Works Department, appropriating $632,500, and authorizing the issuance of $600,875 in bonds or notes for financing part of the cost thereof.
Comments, please. Would you come up and make your comment, Ms. Hero?
Now, whenever I have an interest in something and a specific reason, I try to disclose it. I asked the DPW to come out to do my tree trim, since I do have a city tree. They weren't actually able to do the part of the tree that I wanted them to trim, because I wanted them to trim some of the limbs that were near my home so little critters would not jump, onto my roof and such. And it was really too close to the house. And they did not have a bucket tree and truck, and they were not able to do it. But it seems to me that even though I may have wanted that done, spending $632,500, appropriating that and authorizing the issuance of $600,875 in bonds, still is a lot of money. Now, I'm going to ask questions next month about, like, maybe, do we have another bucket truck, and why do we need a tree truck? But I understand, trees can be pretty high, and you do need to get up that high. For example, my situation that I just told you about, and I'll ask that next month. But I just want you to think about it, because spending $632,000 is a lot of money. And while somebody has said maybe we shouldn't micromanage department heads, I agree we shouldn't micromanage, but maybe we should ask them a few more questions, and I think sometimes we may do. Thank you.
Thank you for the input. Questions? Would you come up, please? I'm sorry, not a question, a statement. Your input?
Right. Mildred Curry Johnson. My statement is, with $600,000 in bonds or notes, which is what we're attempting to finance, part of the cost, have we already built in $32,500 then to pay for that bucket tree?
Thank you.
Is that a yes?
That was a statement on your part or a question?
Statement is, we've already put in for these bonds and notes for the
This is your
600,000.
opportunity to make a comment on this so that when it comes up next month for a vote, the council has your ideas in mind.
My statement is that the Department of Public Works spends a tremendous amount of money. I understand that Hurricane Sandy created a serious issue for them, but it seems that many of the costs, very high costs, come from our DPW. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion?
Council President, make a motion for the introduction of ordinance 50-26 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5827, please.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $880,000 for the acquisition and installation of a gas generator for City Hall, and authorizing the issuance of $672,524 in bonds or notes for financing part of the cost thereof.
Comments, please. Adhero.
That's talking almost $1 million, $880,000 for the acquisition and installation of a gas generator. Yes, I do know we had problems with Hurricane Sandy, okay? I was very well aware of it. I had power out for a week, but you know what? We managed. Yes, I know maybe it's a little bit different for a whole city, but you know what? I think a whole city can manage even without spending $880,000 on a gas generator. Now, maybe I can't ask questions now. Maybe there are other reasons why you want to spend this much money for acquiring an installation of a gas generator. But really, I think we should maybe save our taxpayers' money. Maybe back in the olden days, you know, the days when we had GM and American Cyanamid and all those wonderful Tenco and all those other wonderful great companies, and we had money coming out of everywhere. Maybe we could have afforded that then. I don't think we can afford this now. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Motion, please.
Council President, I make a motion for the introduction of ordinance 58-27 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Deputy Clerk, 5828, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 3, Police Regulations as follows. Section 3-12 Reserve shall be amended as follows. Delete Section 3-12, add new Section 3-12 Nuisance Alarms. First false alarm, $50. Second false alarm, $100. All subsequent false alarms, $150.
Comments? Would you please come to the microphone?
To quote the great Yogi Berra, it's deja vu all over again. Okay, so maybe I don't quite remember the exact amounts for the penalties, 50, 100, and 150, but it seems to me we voted this down because we thought that maybe 0 for the first false alarm might be a good idea. So I'm just wondering why we're back here with 50, 100, and 150. That's all I have to say. Like I said, it's deja vu all over again. And I think when I knew this was going to be brought back up again, I thought we would see it as for first false alarm 0. Now, I know people have discretion, okay? I know the police have the discretion, okay? But I also know that this government is trying to get as much money from fees and fines and everything that they possibly can. So who knows, you know? But like I said, I'd like to have people get a pass for the first false alarm. You know, things happen, leaves blow against, you know, doors and knock off alarms and stuff. So I'm just kind of baffled as to why it comes up as, once again, 50, 100, 150. If not quite that amount that was before. Maybe it was, I don't remember that much, but I do know we voted it down, and if it's going to be like this, maybe we should vote it down again until it comes up 0. Unless next month people explain to me why it's back like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President, I ask for a motion for the introduction of 58-28 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5829, please.
An ordinance extending rent control in the city of Linden for the period of April 19, 2014 to April 18, 2016.
Comments? Motion, please.
I move for the introduction of ordinance 58-29 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5830, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic as follows. Section 7-33 Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A Handicap Parking on Street, delete 1413 Emma Place, 740 Essex Avenue, 2507 East Edgar Road. Add 1413 Emma Place and 510 Harrison Place.
Comments, please. Motion.
I move for the introduction of ordinance 58-30 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5831, please.
An ordinance repealing ordinance number 5737 entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend and Supplement Chapter 31 Zoning to Implement the City's Master Plan Use Element Amendment," passed August 20th, 2013, and approved August 21st, 2013, and as amended and supplemented.
Comments, please. Motion, please.
Yes, Council President. I move for introduction of ordinance 58-31 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5832, please.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Establishing a Schedule of Titles, Salary Ranges, and Regulations for Maintaining the Classification and Salary Standardization Plan for all employees of the City of Linden," passed August 15th, 1995, and approved August 16th, 1995, as followed. Add Schedule 4 II3, Business Administrator.
Comments, please. Please, come on.
This is almost 19 years old. Has anyone ever thought about trying to update this?
We can't answer questions.
Is that a
Well,
typo?
well, that's just a comment,
Is that a
not a
typo?
question. I'll just make a comment that it's kind of
95.
old. I'll restate it, thank you.
Typo.
19 years old, maybe it's time that we revisit this and, update things, because I think there's been a lot of questions, a lot of point of contention, especially with Nancy Barber or whatever. So I know I've raised issues in the past.
So your statement?
My statement is, I think that this is 19 years old, this standardization classification plan, and I hope that someone puts it on the docket to revisit it this year and maybe update things and have, instead of just putting in, add schedule business administrator, maybe give this a good overhaul. That's all I'm just saying.
Further comments? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President. I move the introduction of ordinance 58-32 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5833, please.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration, Article 4, Departments Established, Section 2-12, Department of Police shall be amended as follows. Delete 2-12.1, Department of Police in its entirety, and add new 2-12.1, Department of Police. 1 chief, 5 captains, 12 lieutenants, 16 sergeants, and 101 patrol officers.
Thank you. Comments? Motion, please.
Yes, Council President. I move the introduction of ordinance 58-33 and I seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5834.
An ordinance adopting the amendment to the redevelopment plan for the former theater site and abutting properties.
Comments? Would you please come up?
Never pass up an opportunity to say why government doesn't belong in the redevelopment business. Yes, I know everybody seems to love the promenade, but you know what? I really liked it when it was they had a floatable stage and they could take it to different parks and have concerts in different areas of the wards. I like that a lot better. Also, it was pretty interesting. I'm very grateful that we have Motion Credit Union there, but do you know what that was supposed to be? A restaurant. The only problem was, it wasn't designed for a restaurant, really. All sorts of things that you had planned for a restaurant building just didn't really have and just didn't work out, and we couldn't really get anybody interested in a restaurant. But I'm very grateful for Motion, and I'm glad that they're there. And also, you know that building in the back, you know, well, that's redevelopment government style too, because they built this building. If we build it, they will come, maybe not. And we're still looking at it years later. Now, maybe when I get a copy of this ordinance and look more thoroughly through it, I will be able to tell what exactly is involved with this. And believe me, I'm going to have a lot more questions next month with regard to this. Because, as we all know, government does not belong in the redevelopment business. And when we get government out of the redevelopment business, we save taxpayers a lot of money. Private sector can do it, and let them spend their money and take the risk. Not government, not the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hero.
Ms. Malik?
The other point I'd like to make is when we're considering this redevelopment, I agree somewhat with what Pat's saying, but also they have to take into consideration parking. So when people are going to be putting up buildings, I know that there's a lot of issues where there's not, I feel, not a sufficient amount of parking. So redevelopment is not just putting up a building, there has to be also parking included as part of this.
Thank you. Further comments? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 5834 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Minorchenko?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Thank you. We'll move into comments from members in the public in attendance on city business only. No personal, political, or derogatory comments not to exceed 5 minutes. Is Mr. Roman here? Get signed. Robert Scudo? Robert? A commenter for 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Commenter for 5 minutes.
Bob Scutro, Curtis Street. I'm here to speak about Linden Animal Control, as we know it, Linden Animal Crematory. On March 22nd, we had an incident where people found a dog, a Rottweiler, on Elizabeth Avenue. 1 o'clock, they called 911. They were told to bring it back. Animal Control would meet them there. They said, no, we'll bring it down to the shelter. Sometime during the day, they bring it back to the shelter. At 2:48, the owners called dispatch. Dispatch knows nothing about the dog. Between 5 and 6, they bring it to George at Animal Control. They says, are you a kill shelter? George looks at the dog, says, that's a Rottie. I'll kill it in 2 days if you leave it here. They said, what are my options? George says, bring it over to Roy Animal Hospital, see if it has a chip in it, so people leave. George never takes a phone number of the dog. From there, every animal shelter in New Jersey and New York are looking for this dog. It took the involvement of Linden Police, Charlotte, North Carolina Police, New York Fire, and Police to find this dog. 1,000 people on the internet, all because George didn't do his job. Okay? Why do we have animal control? The man failed to do his job, and it took over 1,000 people and law enforcement from here to North Carolina to return the dog because he failed to take a phone number. Why hire him? Okay? Let's talk about the conditions at animal control. State law, 16 requirements. We failed. Okay, there they are. To euthanize a dog, it requires a scale and a stethoscope. A scale to weigh the dog to put the proper euthanation serum into the dog so it dies properly, and the stethoscope to monitor the heart until it dies. How many dogs are the animal control officers putting into the freezer alive with the heartbeat motionless? We don't know, nor do the animal control officers know, because they're not doing it properly. The state law requires a scale and a stethoscope to have it done properly. I demand they stop euthanizing dogs until a scale and a stethoscope are bought. Secondly, animal control officers walk in 8 o'clock every morning. They take a hose, they wash the cages down with their feces and water and urine and spray it onto the dogs and clean the cages with the dogs there. They're put into an open trough while the other dogs eat and drink the urine from other dogs that it goes by them. State law requires they pick up the feces, okay? This is the way you treat animals? This is disgusting and inhumane. They should all be brought up on charges for what they do. Why do we have it? Why don't we close it down or have it done right if we're gonna have it? Requirements are we clean the cages, we clean the water bowls, okay? We use disinfectant. There's a picture of the mop and bucket that's been sitting out there for over 5 years. It hasn't been used. Why? They don't do their job, okay? And we're paying them how much for doing nothing? The dogs are sitting there guaranteed to die in 7 days because George's famous statement to everybody is the mayor requires the cages empty. That's why I kill him. He should be fired for making that statement, putting the mayor on the spot. And I know the mayor doesn't say that. He did that with John T. Gregorio. You know what John Gregorio said? Don't say it one more time. Watch where I put my foot, okay? Why do we put up with this? Why do we find excuses? Check his history, Ms. Copus, on what this man does. He does nothing for the city, okay, but collects his paycheck. He has a history of not being here at the kennels. Put a GPS in the truck. See where that truck goes during the day. You'd be amazed. Put cameras and watch what goes on down that shelter. Here's pictures of the kennel.
Sir, you have 30 seconds.
Pictures of the kennel. They clean nothing, okay? Leave it like that. And times, comments from officials saying, what's the big deal? They're just dogs. Mayor Gabunker, I care. Mr. Collins, you're my councilman. I care. Anybody at home watching on TV, I request you call the mayor and your councilman and say 2 words, I care. Thank you for your time.
Could you please come up, Nancy, respond to that?
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Councilwoman Yamamoto?
Yes. As liaison to the Board of Health, I have spoken to Councilman Medina, and both of us have shelter animals that we adopted, and we want to make the public know this hasn't fallen on deaf ears. We are planning on going down there and seeing what's going on and making sure everything is run properly. Thank you.
Mrs. Yamamoto, will you look into that situation and have the professional staff that we have here work with you? Thank you. We'll look into that, sir. Where'd he go? Pat Hero? Five minutes, please.
Okay. Hopefully, no member of the council will say anything during my speech, but we'll reserve their comments for after. And probably this one, they won't say anything. My name's Pat Hero. I live on Wheat Chief Road. Now, first, I have to say, when Mr. Moore says no personal, political, or derogatory comments, I always say I feel my First Amendment rights being chilled. Well, you know what? For a person who's been published about comparative constitutional law, Bill of Rights, and how it affected other countries, I really don't feel my First Amendment rights being chilled. What I feel are other people's First Amendment rights being chilled. I feel them being chilled because they're not constitutional lawyers. I feel them being chilled because a lot of these people in this town live in fear. I don't know why they lived in fear. I understood that time when John T. Gregorio was alive and people were saying, the mayor, you're not afraid of the mayor? And I said, no, I'm not afraid of the mayor. But, you know, a lot of people were. But you know what? John T. Gregorio is gone, and we still live in fear, some people. Well, I say if this is America, we should not be living in fear. We should be living in freedom. And I don't think we should be afraid to say what we feel, when we feel it, how we feel it, to whom we feel it, whenever we feel it. As long as it's our truth, and we speak it. And we speak it proud because we're Americans. Now, I like celebrating special days and anniversaries, and I'm especially happy that this week is National Library Week because it also coincides with something special in my life. Yes, indeed, it is my 10th anniversary of speaking before the Linden governing body. Actually, I came to start talking about life with libraries because they were going to close 2 branch libraries without giving any notice to the public. And I don't know, different things just happened, you know. John T. Gregorio's large salary, eminent domain abuse, one thing after another, and 10 years has passed. I really appreciate the time. I really appreciate all the people who have talked to me. I really appreciate all the people who come to this podium. I just really appreciate the 10 years. It's gone by so incredibly fast. You don't know how important a community is until things happen and you need a community. My cousin died 2 weeks later from the time I got up here, and I started to learn how important a community is, and I still do. When people I've known died, I would go to their funerals, and I'd appreciate the fact that I cared. I got to know them because I was doing this, and even though I lost them, at least I could mourn them because I never would have known them if I had never been up here to do this. And I'm so very grateful for everybody I've spoken to. You've brought such joy into my life, and I hope I've just helped you out in some small manner. Now, with regard to property taxes, I know some people have become under flack because they pay their property taxes late. Well, if you look under what was paid in March, it looks like almost half of what was paid for 2014 was paid in 2013 taxes. So it seems a lot of people are having problems paying their property taxes. Maybe people are having their property taxes delinquent because they're businessmen, and they didn't realize that, like many of us, that the government was going to have problems, had to bail out banks, and their businesses might need to be bailed out or might need help because property taxes are exorbitant in the state of New Jersey, and they're not getting better, they're getting worse. In fact, that's another reason why community is so important, because you like community, you like to know the same people. But you know what? Almost everybody I talk with says, guess what? I'm moving out of town. When I retire, I'm out of here. I can't believe to tell you how many people have said that to me. You know what? I'm thinking that too, because you know what? We can't afford it. We want to make New Jersey a place where we can afford to retire, not that we're going to be leaving. And yet this is the state that most people leave out of. Just tell me when
30 seconds.
Okay. I want to say that I do care about the animal shelter, and that's why we need more civic activists, not less. Everybody has an issue they're concerned about. And when we bring it up here to the governing body, our voices are heard, and people need to take action. Sometimes when you call your councilman, and I don't call my councilman that often, I want to say he's been very gracious during the times that I have called him.
Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome. And it can't be easy having your political opponent keep coming up time after time after time, and yet he has been very gracious. I want to say that sometimes people haven't returned calls, and so this way you come up to the podium, your voice does get heard, and other people need to hear the voice too, not just your councilman, other people who might want to take action on that issue. But I do want to wish everybody a happy Easter and a joyous Passover. And like I said, good Lord willing, maybe I'll be here for a few more years to come. And I want to say I appreciate you all so very, very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Later. The Collins? Name and address, please. And
Delia Collins, 72 Georgia Street, Clark, New Jersey. I'm here as a passionate animal advocate. I'm here to address your town, your city. Our township, Clark, uses your facility for animal control. I'd just like to preface this. Back in the fall of 2013, we had a dog laying on the front lawn of Mother Seton for over 48 hours, and it was going to be picked up by Union Animal Control. I contacted our health department, I contacted our police chief, I contacted my councilman, and I was told Linden Animal Control was to come pick that up. That dog laid there for 48 hours, dead on the side of the road. I think that's horrendous. Okay. Regarding the shelter, how many of you have been there? The councilwoman here has stated that she has adopted an animal. Did you adopt it from Linden?
I adopted my cat from Folis.
Great.
And North Shore Animal League is where I got mine.
Okay, all right. When I go on the Linden site, it doesn't say anything about Linden Animal Control. When you bring up animal shelter, it brings up Folis. That's a little odd to me that this would come up. Folis is the Friends of the Linden Animal Shelter. They are not the shelter. The shelter is in the brick building. I went to that brick building in the 60s, and it's the same building. My township pays $23,400 a year for animal control through Linden. 4 other towns also may pay that same amount. That would be $100,000 a year into Linden Animal Control, not Folis. Those girls do a wonderful job. The men do a job. They go out. They have adoptions. We're not even permitted to go into the Linden pound, as I call it, to take pictures of the animals that are brought in there. People who have animals there call. They can't come. There's no one ever there. They can't see their animals. They don't know that they're there. Logs have to be kept where these animals are picked up, when they are picked up, how long they will stay there. These are people's animals. They're pets, part of their family. There has to be immediate care of these animals. If they're struck on the road, a vet tech comes in maybe once a week to euthanize, not to help. If an animal comes there and it's injured, my $23,400 from Clark should be used to help that animal. There should be a vet on call. There's vets on call at other animal shelters. Union has turned itself around. Newark has turned itself around. Your town has to your city has to turn itself around. I just would like to see Linden come to the 2014 year of the animal where there are concerns for these animals. They're part of people's families. They're in your hearts. They have souls. They're not even checked for chips. If people chip their animals, they can be reunited. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorraine Brooke. Could you please come to the microphone and state your name for the clerk in 5 minutes, please?
Lorraine Burke.
Thank
I just want to say one thing. Those pictures that I handed you, those are only half the pictures that I have. A lot of them are worse than what I have brought. Unfortunately, my computer did not work with my phone, and that's why I don't have those pictures. I can get them for you. I started coming to Linden Animal Control. Basically, I was for months working, trying to get in touch with the health officer to get permission to come there. All I wanted to do was take a picture of the animal, cat or dog. There haven't been any cats there. Take a picture of the dog, put it up on Facebook, lost, stray, where it was found, the condition of the dog. 8 out of 10 times, the dogs, they need help, grooming, whatever. They just look dirty. Some of them come in with a broken leg, cuts. One couple months ago, a dog came in with a broken back. The dog was left in the cage for 7 days. No vet care, nothing. I have been told time and time again, the city of Linden does not pay for a vet to come in or for the animals to be transported to a vet, nor is a vet allowed on the premises to help. It's sad to take pictures, knowing in my heart there's really nothing that I can do. Some animals, they have to stay there 7 days. Some were able to pull out. I bring it to the vet, have them either rescued or adopted out. I was fortunate enough in the month of January and February to adopt out 8 dogs. All the dogs needed vet care, which cost hundreds, thousands of dollars that came out of my pocket, not the town of Linden. I'm not saying that if you get a vet, of course it's going to be discounted. There should be someone there to help these animals. There should be someone allowed to go to the premise, take pictures. We're there to help. We're not an enemy. Phone calls, numerous phone calls, never returned because the phone systems over there do not work properly. The phones have been changed, wires have been changed. Unfortunately, we don't know what is what. You leave a message, you never get a call back. It used to be I would get phone calls back. Now, all of a sudden, since I opening up my mouth, I feel that I have been banned. Nobody returns my phone calls. I have, George has held dogs longer than the 7 days for me, and I thank him for that, and I thank the dogs thank him mostly because they were the ones that made it out of there, that were adopted. The animals don't need to suffer. They just don't. Things need to be changed. There's rules and there's laws that we're not following. Well, the city of Linden is not following any of them. That needs to be changed. I've adopted, I have a rescue dog from Linden. That was 1 hour before George was going to put him down. I brought him home. Best dog I have. Sit right by my side all the time. I have other animals too. I have a zoo. But we all need to stick together with this and follow these rules. You've seen some of the pictures. You haven't seen it all. It stinks down there. They need help.
1 minute, please.
They need help to bring this together. And if everybody works together, these animals, I'm not saying that we could save every single animal. You can't. I get that. I understand that. There's animals that need to be put down, but in the right way. They're not getting put down the right way. They get in the heart, or who knows how. But sometimes the animals are put there and they're still alive. They're still alive. There's a lot that I want to say, but I know I don't have enough time. But I want to thank you all for hearing me out and looking at some of the pictures that I have brought. And they do need help to change and educated on the laws of 2014. And
Thank
that needs to change today.
Thank you. We're going to get copies made of the pictures and circulate them to the entire council. Mildred Curry Johnson, please.
Mildred Curry Johnson, 400 East Baltimore Avenue. First of all, I'd like to say good evening. I did not have a chance to do that because I got caught up in the spirit of the moment. However, I do want to say that I applaud those people who came in to talk about the animal shelter and the condition that it's in, because we're all living creatures, and we have got to have the compassion and the empathy to feel what an animal would feel. Everybody up here, I'm sure, has had a pet in their lives, and you know how valuable that animal was to you. So don't throw them away. Just because we can't see them, we still need to know that they're there. And in our own city, to have people who are outside of our city come in and tell us that we're doing a poor job in taking care of animals, well, you can imagine then how we feel as citizens sometime when we're not respected and not treated in a humane or compassionate way. Please, let's even call for maybe some street donations that could help with the animal shelter. But then that has to be managed, because it seems like the person who you have in charge of the animal shelter may not be the right person for the job. I applaud you for trying to do what you do. Next, I'd like to say, I did hear Michelle Yamakaitis speak about the railroad when I was coming in. The railroad that runs throughout our city in different places. Filthy. Not as bad as it was 25 years ago, but I've been living in Linden for 30 years, and let me tell you, my vocal cords should be gone by now because I am constantly calling Department of Public Works, the mayor's office, Michelle Yamakaitis, anybody who'll listen, please could you clean the railroad tracks? But it's not just the railroad tracks that run through the 8th Ward. It's the railroad tracks that run through the city of Linden. People drive through the city of Linden and that's what they see. So imagine what they think about our town. Here we have an issue with animals, we have an issue with the railroad tracks not being clean. It's not just the people who are throwing the trash, it's not being cleaned on a regular basis. The mayor has told me, though, they're working on a schedule for regularity. Well, when is that going to happen? Al McDonald, you're here. Maybe you can address that. I would appreciate it ever so much. Next, Organization of Public Works. It's my understanding that Mr. Messler has gone. Of course he is. He's not passed away, but I'm going, he left, he retired. But what I would like to know is what is the new organization of the Department of Public Works so that we know who we need to call to address some of these issues of getting trash picked up or what have you. That's the other thing right on my mind. I know my time is running. Trash day. We did not get our trash day in the 8th Ward. I believe it was February because of the snow. Michelle? Yes. Would you please address it for me?
They were doing makeup. If people had trash that had to be put out and it didn't get picked, they would do a special pickup. So
Well,
if you,
when I called, they told me I had to wait for the next trash day.
if you could, if somebody had like furniture or anything like that that they needed, they would try to accommodate them.
Okay, well, let me say this.
They
Because
did do a pickup though, Mildred.
No, they didn't.
They tried to catch up afterwards, yes. People
With
did
the
put
snow,
trash
well, I'm
out.
not going to argue with
Right.
you, Michelle, only because I was home, I was looking, no trash vehicle came by my house. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So I thought that it was, rescheduled, and I would have anticipated that it would be because of the weather.
That was, the 5th and 8th Ward had the trash pickup day for that day of the snowstorm. People did put it out. Public Works did try to get it after the snowstorm, but I did get a few phone calls, saying we need a trash pickup, we're getting furniture delivered, whatever. They tried to accommodate them, so
Okay, well, try, but it didn't happen on my street. There was no try, no attempt on my street. Okay, but
Ms.
at any
Curry,
rate, I can speak to
I
you.
have a question for you.
Yes?
You asked a couple questions, and
Yes,
I
I
lost
did.
track of. Could you repeat them?
Okay, one was the Organization of Public Works. Since John Messler has gone as the superintendent, it's my understanding they're being reorganized. So we'll know who is the person responsible that we can reach out to for issues that can't be resolved at a different level. That's one. The other is a schedule for the cleanup of East Baltimore Avenue, east and west side, on a regular basis. Those are the two questions. Can I go forward?
Yes, you have 1 minute.
Okay.
I stopped the clock.
All right, the next is, and of course, the trash day. But
I'm sorry?
I appreciate the fact that Ms. Nero gets up and speaks to freedom, the freedom to speak. We can't get away from the freedom to speak because that's the very fabric upon which this whole country was built. The freedom to speak, but also to speak to representatives who we put in office to act on our behalf, to act in an honest and faithful manner. Now, we're not all perfect,
30
and we're not
seconds,
looking
please.
for perfection, but we're looking for you to do what you've been put in office to do, and to do it sometimes, even though it's difficult, to make a decision that goes against what the grain of everybody else is doing, but it sits well in your heart because you know it's the right thing to do. We've known right from wrong since we were 5 years old. That's when we had a true consciousness. Please find that consciousness and let it drive your character, especially those of you who are throwing your hat in the arena to become the next mayor
Thank
of
you.
the city of Linden.
Thank you.
Thank you.
McDonald, I have two questions from the speaker that maybe you could help us with. Briefly, in a nutshell, who would be the person to call in Public Works for assistance?
Well, you can call the same number that you always called for Public Works, which is 474-8666. Currently, Mr. Vendetto and Mr. Scaldino are sharing the responsibilities at this time, since we haven't decided formally what we're going to do about the vacant position of superintendent. I am also available anytime anyone wants to speak to us, and as far as scheduling.
Do you have a number that you could give the public, a
You can
telephone?
call the same Public Works number. I can be reached at any of them. Just ask for either myself, Mr. Vendetto, or Mr. Scaldino.
Are you aware of the cleanup for Baltimore Avenue? Is there a schedule for
Mr.
that?
Vendetto and Scaldino, we're working on a more permanent schedule for that. It is an issue that's been ongoing for many, many years. It's tough, with the amount of people that we have at our disposal at this point. We had a rough winter. We're playing catch up with a lot of things right now. But when we have something more solidified as far as a permanent schedule, I'll pass that along.
Thank you, sir.
Council President.
Councilwoman Cosby Hurling, and then Mr. Brown.
Mr. McDonald, earlier when I was talking about East and West Baltimore, we were talking about construction code, and I've spoken to one of the inspectors. I know that we're doing the labor as the schedule permits. Are we going to start charging the property owner, or, for cleaning their property like we would do a vacant house?
Well, I would be more than happy to become involved in that. I've never been involved with that. As far as we're talking about the tracks now, correct?
Absolutely.
Excuse me, the property owner is M&E Railroad. They're out of business.
So is it our property now because they're out of business, or?
No.
Right.
This is not something that I have been
Thank
privy to as
This
far
is
as.
the first time I heard that they were out of business.
Yeah. Well, I really wasn't aware of that myself.
Councilman Brown, you have a comment on this?
Yeah. To Al mentioned something as far as manpower. If you remember a couple meetings ago, I think 2 meetings ago, we hired 3 people in Public Works, and during my comments, we talked about hiring some additional. That's how you're going to be able to resolve not just the issue as far as cleanup on the tracks, but inside of our parks and other issues where our manpower has shrunk so low that we're not able to keep up with the pace of cleaning up. Also, I mentioned about hiring 2 more parking officials. It's very misleading because these individuals have powers that broaden where they can start finding people. They see people littering, they have the ability and the power, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, where they can start finding these people who are littering if they're repeat offenders, because I have it in my own ward, Larson Park, where someone's dumping trash and we know the date, the time, approximates the same person. If we catch them, they're going to be fined. So hopefully that addresses not just tracks, but citywide, trying to get the city cleaned up a little. But it's
Thank
a
you, sir.
start.
Rosa Johnson? We have 5 minutes, please, and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Rosa Joseph, and I live in Elizabeth, and I'm here to speak about the shelter in Linden. I volunteer for an animal rescue group in Cranford. I also am an administrator for a Facebook page for Lost Pets. It's called Union County Lost Pets. And I am sorry to tell you that the Union Shelter has the worst reputation in Union County. Number one, they're considered a very high kill shelter. Why? They don't promote adoptions. No one is there to pick up the phones. There's no website, there's no Facebook page. If you lose an animal, I live in a border of Linden. If my dog gets loose, ends up in Linden Shelter, guess what? That dog is dead. Why? Because when I call, no one picks up the phone. If I go there and nobody's there, what do? Do I break in to see my dog is there? There's no way of checking if your animal is there. On 7th day comes, the dog is dead. It doesn't matter whether you have a cage open for that friendly animal, the dog is dead. Someone should be able to go in there and take pictures like Lorraine Burke did before she was banned. She's not allowed to go in there. Put it out there, found, so people can find their pets. It's not happening, okay? When I hear when somebody posts on my page that an animal is missing, Elizabeth, Roselle, anyone near my town, I really panic, because the last thing I want is for the animal to end up in Linden. I'm sorry to say that, but Elizabeth has a bad reputation, but let me tell you, it's 100% better. The Elizabeth shelter, they welcome rescue people. You come in there, they try to get the animals out. They hold them for 10 days. And if the animal is friendly, they'll hold them for longer. Why? So they can get adopted, so that rescues have a chance to come in there and get them out so they can get adopted. You can save a lot of animals in Linden, a lot of them. How? Share them. Get a Facebook page out. There are a lot of volunteers that will be willing. Somebody takes pictures, forward them to any of us. We'll be more than willing to post them. We'll create a Facebook page that says Linden Animals, Linden, whatever you want to call it. We are many volunteers. We're very strong. There are thousands of people sharing every day these lost animals. There are many pages out there. We can help. There are a lot of animals that do not need to die. Okay, I'm just begging you people to please do something. It's very, very important. I'm telling you, if one of your pets gets missing, you better go knocking on that door and make sure that they don't kill them. Because 7 days comes that the dog is dead. If your animal gets hit by a car, good luck with that. For 7 days, that animal's gonna linger. And I don't think animal control has control over that. I think it has to come from the city. You have to allow a certain amount of money for that animal to get treated. It's inhumane what goes on. It's not only here in Linden, also in Elizabeth. It's inhumane. You gotta treat that injured animal. It's unfair. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the Board of Health officer to respond to the questions. Nancy?
I've listened to the comments that have been made about the shelter. The first thing I do want to get across is we are an animal control facility. We are not an adoption facility. We welcome working with you groups. The problem is we cannot work on your schedule. We cannot work on your schedule.
Please, it's not a debate. Mr. Brown, I'll decide on the order of the speaking here. We have to have decorum.
We are.
Thank you for your suggestion.
This is why the Friends of Linden Animal Shelter was formed, to help us with the adoptions of the animals that are brought into the shelter, because we do not have the time or manpower to devote to the adoption of animals. That is why the
Excuse me, I got to ask you, please, to refrain from debate. Sir, would you have a seat? It's a tough question.
This is why they were formed, whether they take all our animals or not. Some of our animals are not adoptable. We do animal control. If you've been in our shelter and you've seen not all of our animals are friendly animals. We do service rough areas of the county. If you notice, most of our, and not to be breed specific, I would say 80% of the animals we get into our facility are pit bulls. A lot of these animals, right, I'm not saying.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, please.
We were
have to ask you to
happy
leave.
to work with you. We are still happy to work with you. But we have to have you have a place to take these animals. We cannot hold these animals for you. You need to have a facility to take them to. We're glad to give them to you. We cannot hold them. As far as vetting the animals, if an animal comes in, we do have a vet, a contract with a vet, and animals are seen by a vet if they need to be. An animal is not in pain. We will not treat an animal for a large amount of money because city taxpayers are not going to do this. We are not going to treat an animal and spend thousands of dollars and after 7 days euthanize the animal.
Mrs. Yamakaitis, you look into this entire matter with our staff?
Yes, I will. Councilman Medina also volunteered to work with me on this.
Thank you, Councilman Medina. That's where we have to leave it tonight.
Can we let Nancy finish?
Do you have any further?
I don't know the pictures that you've shown the council, so I really don't know how to address them, and I don't know what your concerns are. I've spoken to you once. You've never called me with any other concerns.
I would like to make a recommendation that you contact her off hours privately, and you'll have a better rapport, be able to get your input in.
Pardon me?
I got to ask you, please, not, I understand, but for where we stand now, we have a committee that's going to look into the problem. If
The
you have-
other issue, as far as pets being lost and from the 5 towns coming to our shelter, if your pet is lost and you contact your local police department, they will get in touch with us. We will, if we have your pet, we want to return it. We don't want to hold your pet. We will gladly return it to you.
Thank you.
Council President.
Sir, sir,
We have,
I
we
think-
do have a euthanasia contract with a
Nancy?
veterinarian.
Nancy?
All, yes.
I think maybe, can you reach out for them during the?
I will gladly have a meeting
Council
with
President?
them and Councilwoman
Yes.
Yamakaitis and
Councilman
Councilman
Kozinski
Medina.
also volunteered, so we will sit down with Ms.
I think we
Kobliss
got
and
a great group of people willing to look into the problem, so if you could do it, if you could reach out during the week, you know, I think they're honorable and reputable people, and they'll return your calls and work on the problem. This is, nobody wants to see this. Thank you. I'll ask Mr. Brooks, Monty Brooks. 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Monty Brooks, 307 Carnegie Street, Linden. Thank you for being here, and thank you to the member of the council. I realize that's part of my 5 minutes, but I'll be brief. I'm glad to hear that people talked about the parks and the area along the railroad tracks, because I don't want to appear to be a person with tunnel vision only looking at my particular ward. So it's good to see that we're working on all the wards and all the parks in our city. But I'd like to speak particularly about 2 parks in my ward. I will always call them Lincoln Street Park and 4th Ward Park. For those of you who don't know that, that's Hattie Johnson Park and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Park.
Speak up a little.
Pull the mic up so you can.
4th Ward Park and Lincoln Street Park, okay? Those parks, especially the Lincoln Street Park, predominantly younger children play in that park. And yes, there are problems with the park in terms of broken areas, broken parts of the slide. My major concern is that on the post, I basically had to be a contortionist to take the pictures that I took, but little kids, they run around and they're looking eye level at all types of profanity written along the posts, along the walls. On the top portion of the slides, you're looking at the roof line being tagged with information and profanity there as well. They are the most vulnerable children that we have. They are our children, and that's not something that we want to expose them to. And that's the same thing that happens in 4th Ward Park as well. Also peeling areas of the park, the roof lines. There are all concerns, I'm sure, in every ward. Because I'm in the 4th Ward, I'm particularly concerned about those parks in the 4th Ward. So again, I appreciate the fact that we've spoken about all parks in our city, because obviously they all need to be taken care of. My major concern, though, is that area in 4th Ward Park where, hopefully, that can be resolved fairly quickly. I'm not talking about the repairs. I'm talking about painting over all of the profanity that's written all along the bottom portions of the slides in the areas that the children play in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Council conference meeting, Scout in Government Day, conference meeting prior to the council meeting, Tuesday, April 29th, 2014, at 6:30 PM in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, April 29th, 2014, at 7 PM in the council chambers, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting Monday, May 19th, 2014, at 6 PM in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting, Tuesday, May 20th, 2014, at 6 PM in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, May 20th, 2014, at 7 PM in the council chambers, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion.
Second. No.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Byer?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Midachinko?
Yes.
Yamakaitis? Yamakaitis?
Mr. Gianmakakis, would you
Yes.
respond to that vote?
It was just one.
Yes.
Who took them, Patty?
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Good night.